Good afternoon, Free Enterprise fans, or good evening for our European fans, or good morning for our fans possibly on the other side of the world, to this Highway to the Zemus Zone round of 64, match number 2 between Eykir and rexxraul. I am Ent. Joining me on the Restream team today will be our trackers, Stoppable Force, our Restreamer, Escorian, and joining me on the comms today is Harumph. Harumph, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, and I hope our runners will be feeling fantastic. Seeing a Young for a hero's start here. You certainly could do worse than a Young start.
Yeah, I feel like if you're gonna get a Yong at any point in time in these flag sets, you might as well get him early on, given that he scales so well with levels and just like that due to his unique damage formula. So it's one of those ones that sort of maybe you think at first, I don't necessarily want Yong versus one of the other sort of physical attackers, but in the end it works out better than you would think. The only real tricky part is balancing his agility around.
And looking at objectives here, you gotta like a potential required hook route.
Definitely required hook route on that 5th objective, plus double sparkle hunt as well, meaning that, you're kind of only looking for that one sprite too. And it means that, those moments where you're waiting to see what that hook is going, or what that sparkle is going to be, just are that much more exciting and intense based off of, whoever finds this has a 2 out of 5 chance of getting an objective instead of a 1 out of 5 chance.
And now for this one, rexxraul does have a game 1 in hand, so he'll be looking to take the win today here and lock in his place in the top 32. Eykir, who is in the top 32 in the Lolly Ho League here, will be looking to push this to a game 3. So
yes,
two very even match runners.
Definitely, and whoever ends up winning this race will go on to face the winner of the Wu Bear versus Aegis match, which is the 8th seed versus the 64th seed. The first game of that will be not restreamed, but it will be tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. So they'll be keeping a lookout on that as well to see who they're going to have for their opponents starting next week, because honestly, whoever wins that match is not going to be an easy ride through to the round of 16.
No, despite sure there may be a bit of a spread here in between, say, top seed and the 64 seed. There are no easy matchups once you get to the bracket stages, and you can't take any opponent for granted.
Yeah, definitely. And as our community grows and changes over time, we've been getting closer and closer matches each time. It does look like we are off on this inevitable close match. And hey, how about an Edward to go along with with your start there? A pass in hand to really incentivize coming back from the moon, and a sparkle to really want you to find that Baron key early on.
Who says you even need to go to the moon depending on what heck Escorian has rolled for our runners today here, and we have the second best Edward in Edward.
The consolation prize Edward, I think, is a good way of putting it today.
Yes, our runners here. All right, so we have, so everyone's going to be, trying to get some gear here for this party here. A better bow here, a dancing dagger, something to get some early damage here, because Young at the lower levels here doesn't punch too hard.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a very, very tough start, and that pass not giving you a character to add on to it is really not what you want to see. Like, maybe if they just started, this is the one seed where you want to start with a hook in hand and have the sort of, hook route hanging over your hand just because you could get that third character there. But it just looked like both of our runners are just looking to loot without dealing with these trap chests. They probably don't have the means of dealing with those yet. So it'll be interesting to see if either of them ends up coming back later to go for those trap chests. We are seeing on rexxraul's side, though, he has found a light sword if he can find a Cecil lying around somewhere.
Yep. Yeah, once you get Cecil up to no, you know, once you get him a new job here, that light sword's definitely going to come in handy. That's assuming, of course, here that Cecil is even in the seed today.
Definitely. And another thing that I've seen over on Eykir's side is we also have that Leviathan that he has found for Rydia, possibly if we find her along the way. So we are starting to find a good number of things that could help if we find the right characters to sort of even out this very rough early game that they're going to have with this young Edward start.
Ogre Axe as well here if you do happen upon a Kane or a Sid. I think the best I've seen here for our current configuration may have been that Archer bow here, just because it's just maybe slightly more damage. But you can also sell. You can also perhaps look to sell some of these items here. Make it a gamble here that you may not see some of these characters here, and maybe just try to buy that dancing dagger somewhere if there's one available for sale.
Definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if we see our runners go to some of even the less often checked early shops. You have that shop in Silvera that's open to you. You have that shop even in Kaipo where you could go and check early on and try and just hit on anything to give you that bit of an early spike. I have seen over on Rex's side, he has also found a Poison Axe lying around here. So no matter whether you're on Team Ogre Axe or Team Poison Axe, you're covered by the Zeppelin Castle today.
Yeah, or just Team Money. just sell here, fun items that you can use, weapons you can use here, curatives as well here, because we don't have a mage either here. Ooh, Curse Ring from Eykir as well here, so that is potentially your agility issues taken care of here once you get to the end game.
Absolutely, and it's kind of interesting to watch here as we see another Poison Axe pulled out by Eykir and an Earth Hammer if they happen to find a Sid too, if they want to use that. Is that there's a lot of money in these chests, but nothing that immediately helps the start for the most part, except for I think Yang couldn't equip the ninja hat. I might be misremembering on that.
Yeah, either of them can, many of them can equip that ninja hat. Eykir here didn't quite, I guess, like the gear here for the current party configuration, so it's going to loot the back of Watery Pass as well. Rex looks like he's finished looting. Done looting Evelyn Castle, and he's going to check the Hobbs character at this time. Mike here now probably going to do some more looting, perhaps, here at Damson Castle.
I gotta think at least knowing who that character is on Hobbs has got to be super important right now, because if it ends up just being another, even like a dupe or anything like that, that's gonna potentially change the way that you approach things, because you got to figure out whether or not you have an out from this current situation right now.
Speaking of dupes, but definitely still gonna check here to see who this blue robe is. And that is a water hag. That is not where you want to see a water hag. But still gonna take the fight here for the levels.
At least it's something free to give you some experience. It's one of those things that if you're gonna get the worst case situation, you might as well get the slight bonus out of it that you can maybe start getting that Yang into relevance. Almost wonder if it might be a good idea to sort of check the other couple of free-ish bosses and maybe just try and take one of them down quickly if they're fast, to just get another couple levels before starting on your other checks.
However, Yang will be the only beneficiary because it took one punch and he's taking it. He's now looking for a contact lens.
Yeah, and here we are going to see him just go and check the backside of Mount Hobbs here. They really just need to find anything that will get them out of this situation at the moment. And they just have not found anything to help yet. Even right now, a Whistle, a Lilith Rod, and an Odin aren't going to do anything for a Young and an Edward.
Yeah, the Whistle and the Odin here, that's sells for, I believe, about 15,000 GP. So that may be here the most valuable thing to get in of is the potential here to be able to buy items here to try to make these the early game a little easier. Whether it be finding a bow, finding a dagger here, anything real at this point here to try to get that initial damage up.
Yeah, I feel like I would almost be tempted to play this seed in particular like a sort of supermarket sweep ladder seed, so to speak, where your goal is just to go around the shops and find the most powerful thing you can to pull you through the rest of the game. And it's not quite on that scale because you don't have S Wild can find a crystal sword sitting for free in a shop somewhere, but it is that level, same sort of feeling of check the shops and hope you find the one thing that'll get you through this. But it seems like both of our runners are at very least confident enough to head down to Antline and take care of it, which I gotta think there's not too much that would be particularly scary down here right now.
And they're both doing a fairly thorough loot here. We did see a black belch rope here in one of the chests here, so that's going to help with some early damage here. A vampire and a Gaia drum as well here. Those J-items here will certainly come in handy along the way here, whether that be if they encounter, say, a Mylon and friends, or any other boss here that you need to get some AOE. The vampire as well here is good for good 400 or so here damage and some healing. And you don't want to use the vampire here though.
Yeah, this is, given the J items we found, about the worst boss I think you could roll if you were planning on using him here, because Mylon Z, of course, both undead, so you can't really use the vampires, and also technically a flying enemy, so you can't use the Gaia drum either. So you're going to have to actually take him down at this point. One other thing I noticed during the looting there that might come in later is that we did see a ninja sword pulled out of that save room as well. So if we find an edge somewhere, we've already got a good head start on getting him up and running. So again, this is just so far a seed where you're looking for that one character and you have everything for it. And hey, how about Poison Axe number 3 from Antlion Cave?
That's more money. If they don't find any weapons here, at least they have a retirement fund.
Yeah, I mean, this is the seed where you really start to feel the no J items in shops flag in its full glory, because even if you don't find a weapon, you don't find like that dancing dagger or anything similar to get your Edward online to do a little bit of damage, this is where you would want to be spending it on, vampires or anything like that that can actually deal damage instead, but that's just not an option with these flags.
Eykir, taking a peek in Kaipo here, goes straight for the weapon shop, trying to find something to use here. Picks up some arrows because there was an archer bow at the at Castle Eplin here, so maybe here giving. And did take a peek at the bed here. It looks like one of the twins here. I didn't get a good enough look to see which twin though.
Yeah, I couldn't quite tell. I think it might have been a Porum. I think the ponytail was going in the proper side for that, but don't take that as 100% if you're watching along at home, because I did not have any confidence in that prediction whatsoever.
I've been vocal in my feelings of Porum here in terms of how there are some people who think Porum is great here. I don't think some people who have less favorable opinions of it here. I think in a situation like this here, you just want a third character here. So if they do find that sand early here, they're definitely going to make a beeline there.
Definitely. This is one of those Porum is technically an improvement sort of flags here, as we are seeing this Kenatsu at Fabul, which it's interesting at least.
It's certainly doable here, and yeah, given here you don't have a lot of damage options here, this is fine. You have the Thor Rages here, so you're able to, so you don't have to worry about the waves here. And yeah, Jan will put out enough damage eventually. So this will take a little more time than you may like here, but this shouldn't pose an issue here for either of our runners.
Yeah, Eykir has been instead taking the shopping route in the meantime while Rex is in this check, and it has not been quite paying off for him yet. Did not really find much of anything in Silvera that's going to help, so he's going to be swinging up to Fabul here as well, and we'll be taking on this fight pretty quickly, at least as quickly as you can take on this fight with the lightly said in chat reject percent sort of start, which yeah, I guess in this case that's pretty much where we are.
Maybe the best news in having Keinatsu at Fabul is that's one less Keinatsu that won't be at the Rubicon spot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of silver lining going on right now. At least there's just no cloud yet.
I, I think it's mostly cloud, and I think that's the issue right here right now. We need to
That
see some
is
sort of sunlight.
that is fair. I like started that metaphor and then immediately realized it wasn't gonna work and just ditched it where I could. But we're about to see what Rex will get from this Fabul check here, and it does end up being the Darkness Crystal. So hey, there's another chance at character number 3.
Yeah. And yeah, definitely probably make that peak early here because really, nearly any third character here would be an upgrade. So I don't think you're going to say no to any of them at this point here, especially with the items here that we've found along the way. Also, good chance to get some information here. Take a peek at that Bahamut spot here and see who you may have to deal with later on here and plan accordingly.
Yeah, one of the benefits they have going to this moon check too, based off of what they've pulled so far, is basically no matter who they could pull from that moon spot for the character check, they have at very least the start of a build form. They have a light sword for Cecil. They have axes that either a Kane or Sid can equip. They have a ninja sword for an edge, and then casters are casters. So as long as it's not a dupe, pretty much anything they can at very least have somewhat online once they get up to that moon spot.
Yeah, if you think about it here, it can't be Yang because as in Sea Hero here, Yang won't appear anywhere else in the Sea here. So the only dupe could be Edward. That would be a fresh pile of hack if that were the case on the moon here, but I'd be for it.
I don't want to say that I'm hoping that that's the case, but I would not be upset if that were the case. Mostly because I think that if I say or have hoping that was the case, if any of these runners watch this back later, they're going to be very upset with me for that. But at this point in time, this could be quality difficult seed time too, which is somewhat what you like to see out of these tournament flags.
Mm-hmm. You want to see you certainly like to see our runners tested here to see how they given a scenario here for a problem here, how they work around here, whether that be a very complicated setup here or one that is they see something and it goes straight hit full speed ahead, be done in 10 minutes, be done in like an hour or something like that there. Yeah, you can almost hear sometimes the brain, the gears in the brain here just turning away here, trying to find all right, what do I need to do here to get this done in the fastest amount of time possible?
Yeah, and I'm not sure what you would necessarily need to get what could be a bad option from going to this moon. So I kind of think that Eykir will probably basically immediately follow up to that moon as well. At this point in time, really anything is a benefit. The only potentially bad thing that could happen out of this moon, I would think, if it's not a dupe, would be Palom, where you don't quite have him online yet, or Atella, who you don't have online until you get him up Mount Ordeals. But part of the problem with this early Darkness Crystal is that you don't really get as much benefit out of it in this particular set of objectives either. So on this level, there's kind of a thing of where, how happy are you to see that Darkness Crystal? Because I'd rather have like an Earth Crystal right about now.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly here, that Earth Crystal would open up an easier check there, but a lot of gear. The biggest thing you're maybe getting out of the Darkness Crystal, maybe information in terms of, how you're going to plan, how you're going to in terms of setting your game plan here, what that's going to look like in terms of how you want to approach, the rest of the game here, and approach, how you want to start to construct your Z fight. we've got a Quack Kid on the Lunar Dais.
Well, I seem to have gotten my wish. Here's the question, though. What do you do with the Palom in this case? Because, like, you don't have levels to get Palom online yet. I would think that the next thing you would do would be to go to Mount Ordeals and try and get up those, but if you're having a problem with that first boss, this could be a very difficult situation to be in.
Now, with the first boss here, you also do have a boss who isn't going to do a lot physically for you. So depending on who you see, that first boss won't be an issue here. You'll get enough experience here to get the level 2 elementals, at least some of the level 2 elemental spells here. So it doesn't take too long here to get Palom serviceable in order to get through the back attack spot at Ordeals.
Yeah, definitely. I think even just that first thing might get just enough experience in this case. And then there's also this option. Ooh, a Baigan down at the bottom of Cave Value. That is no longer Cave Value. That is Cave Leave That to Last.
Yeah, I guess the only value here is the amount of pain for your buck that Baigan's going to deliver here, and that's a lot of it.
Absolutely. I mean, you really don't want to see that with this setup too, because what do you have to deal enough damage? What do you have to soak hits to? You have until Yang gets up to his absurd amounts of HP later. It's going to be a very long time before you can even survive that fight, even if you necessarily have the damage to possibly clear it.
Yeah, so definitely going to be one of the later ones here, if not the last one. But at least now you know who's there here, so you can either plan for it or possibly plan around it, depending how the rest of the seed goes. Ideally here, you may not even have to deal with that spot.
Yeah, definitely. There is always the chance that they, say, find both parts of that forge and a hook and decide to do those while they're on that. So there's a chance they don't find the boss necessary during that point in time, at which point in time maybe you're going to be going through that anyways. There's also the chance that they go to do that hook route and they find both Wyvern and Plague sitting there and then happen to already have forge. So there's ways around that. But at the same time, I would love to see them have to do that fight, because that is a very entertainingly unfun fight, at least.
Hey, I'm here for the unfun. At least the watching unfun. As a racer, yeah, maybe not.
Definitely. And it's just one of those things where you really wish that they would get something, but at the same time, the fact that they haven't found something is going to make this a very entertaining Mount Ordeals, because you have the two different kinds of Mount Ordeals. Basically, you have I have the strongest party possible, this is a cakewalk, and then you have this, which is the extreme other end, although there is a free boss at least.
Yep, that's going to be the cakewalkier of the two, for sure.
Definitely, and I think the big question here is how much do you care about taking down that officer in the back for that little bit of extra XP to get onto Palom at this point in time, or do you just want to take out this fight as quickly as possible and not necessarily worry about it? And it looks like Rex is sort of decide, I'm just going to drop as much as possible, take the soldiers out. If I get the officer, fine, but I'm not going to worry about it. And there goes the fight.
Yeah, so it's about half the experience. You get about half. About half or so here, call here. Still enough here to get a level 2 elemental here, so hopefully weak to fire. Ooh. Whoa.
Oh no.
This is not ideal.
This is very not ideal right now, where you don't have any healing either to deal with it, because how are you going to get through this fight right now? I'm not entirely sure this is something that's going to be particularly doable in the same way when you just have Edward's 2 cure potions and that's about your only source of healing for the fight.
Now, Yang is dealing enough physical damage here with the power shots here, but yeah, it's going to be all Yang. Those spells here are not going to be any... Spells won't be of any benefit because of because Ogopogo will respond. If you cast magic on Ogopogo here, he'll counter here with Blaze if he has to fire 2 here, and that is gonna do a nice chunky damage here. And it's now the all Yang show because Alan is now down for the count.
I'm actually a bit worried about how much this double wave does, and down goes Yang by 7 HP, so Rex gonna have to redo both of those fights at this point.
Fortunately here, the first fight here is not gonna be won't take too long to get through here, but I'm guessing we'll probably take a safety save after that here, because that Ogo here will have a few more questions to ask of the team.
Yeah, one option he has been pointed out in chat is that you could just burn that Bacchus wine that he has sitting in his inventory and hope that Yang does enough damage to just take him out beforehand, just to get in those extra turns, just from that Berserk status, which kind of skips the queue if you're not as familiar with how Berserk works in Final Fantasy IV. So maybe that's an option to get through. There's still plenty of things to try to get through that Ogopogo fight.
Yep, if you do need you might need a few more levels here. I believe there were 2 sirens in the kits here. Pal will have a fire 2 here, so even using a siren here to take a fight here, get 5,000 experience. I believe it's 5,000 experience. So you got a little bit of a lift there as well. But yeah, Rex taking the safety save here, recalibrating, and we'll try the Yogo fight again.
Meanwhile, over on Eykir's side, doing this officer-soldier fight, he's much higher prioritizing this officer and not willing to dump as many J items into it, so he's taking a bit of a longer fight in exchange for that bit of extra XP, which might end up being a pretty big benefit going into this Ogopogo as well.
Yeah, like Yang gets his attack power from levels here, so if we can get like an additional level out of this here, that may be a boon here. I'm not sure it'll be quite enough, but yeah, anything will help. And of course, Eykir doesn't have the knowledge here that Ogo is in the next spot yet. He'll get the bad news shortly.
I just hope he saves beforehand. Yeah, he's gonna go save beforehand. Good. He's not gonna have quite the same rough time that Rex is having it, and it looks like Rex has those other 2 party members down at this point in time, is going to try and heal up Yang and just keep punching through at this point in time, but I'm not sure if this will be enough, because that wave is still going to take off another 338 HP, and he's in a bit of a tough spot right now.
Yeah, this is going to be a slow fight to get through. 3,000 experience, but you're going to be alternating. Yeah, that vampire. That was enough.
Well, he is through, so we'll soon see Yang in round 3 in this final part of Mount Ordeals, but I gotta think he's feeling pretty good about that at that point, going to just get a few more levels and probably not have too rough of a time in this solo fight right now.
It was the vampire here, but still, I believe still has the guide drum here if needed.
Definitely still has many ways around this, and I'm just trying to think of what could pose a particular difficulty here. Obviously there's a few things, but I don't think there's actually too many things on this Mount Ordeals that would be critically bad at the moment.
Alt Gauntlet would be hilariously slow.
Actually, Alt Gauntlet would be... Oh, never mind. There's
this
bad.
Nah, this is fine.
Bad for the cutscene length, at very least. I suppose he's not really going to do anything, because you can't kill off party members if there's only one, so just need to live through that first spell and you're fine.
Yep, you can... Yeah, even like the magic power isn't going to be too high. Terribly high here. Like, sure, you can, if you want to be doubly sure here, you can use this Star Veil here just to make it super safe. But yeah, this shouldn't pose any issue here. And again, better to have a Golbez here where you don't have to worry about eating more time here with party members being taken down. And there are certainly ruder places to have a Golbez as well.
Definitely. I think maybe, there's that initial, oh no, it's Golbez moment, but maybe the silver lining of this one is that this is probably one of the easiest ones because you can just drop a Star Veil and it does pose no threat. So he should be fine at this point in time. Meanwhile, over on Eykir's side, it looks like he's having a fairly stable time through this Ogopogo fight himself. Still has Palom up. So I think he'll be okay. He bought more Cure 2s at shops going into this, so he's a little bit of an advantage there.
Eykir throwing out a Lit 2. So we're going to see a... Now, if it's Lightning a spell here, you're going to get a counter weak, because... Yeah, you would think Ogopogo would be weak to Lightning, because Leviathan... The similar-looking Leviathan's weak to Lightning. No.
Now, here's the downside of this, is we've seen an Adamant Rock sitting here in this spot. What's it Baron in? Because Baron in is gating our underground access, or the Moon. I don't think the Moon can gate underground access at this point if it's behind people. I might be misremembering at that point, but
no, there would
underground access is a scary point at this point.
No, underground access here needs to be on the overworld here because we don't have an unsafe flag on here for the practicers. So. At this point, it'll either be a Cheeky Demist or the Baron Inn gating access underground.
Yeah, and either way, that's kind of still a little bit of a problem because there can be some very nasty bosses at the Baron Inn. But Eykir, on the other hand, is through that Ogopogo on the first shot, will be on his way onto that solo Golbez fight, so he's in a pretty good shape at the moment. A little tiny bit behind Rex, but I think that's mostly just because he's done a lot more shopping. You'll probably see that gap close as Rex looks for more item shops himself.
Yeah, because despite all the looting we've done here, we haven't really found that much gear for still any of them.
I think the closest we found is like a Lilith Rod for Palom, and that's about it, and a Mute Knife for Edward. And a Fire Claw, and that's it.
And and a black belt shirt for Yang. Yeah, that's given the amount we've got for other characters. Okay, we have a fourth character here, and our runners will probably be happy to see us this city here.
Absolutely, and Doll's a pretty easy fight at this point in time, especially if they still have that. Guy drum and choose to use it, which I don't think they will because these are not hitting worth enough to use anything on. So we'll see what's at the second spot here. That'll matter a lot more, but this is looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, this is probably the safest spot for covering the game because even if it does turn into the big doll here, that big doll is not going to have a lot of HP behind that. Oh. And we've got an objective. We found our plague.
Yeah, I think out of the sparkles you could find here, this might be one of the better ones if you just knock over one of your party members and just continually loop that countdown, knock them over, just cast life again. There's very easy ways around this. It looks like Edward is going to use that kamikaze here to do some damage to that plague, and we'll see that cycle start.
However, this timer is going down very quickly here. Barely gets Eddie up in time before taking a nap as well.
I've never seen someone like Palom was there for a moment there. I've never seen that graphical glitch where he was still at 134, but on the ground.
This is the trouble here because, the countdown is going down extremely quickly. Here, and there's still gonna need to find some time here to get some damage in.
Absolutely, but I think if we at least get through or don't get through this fight, it's something that Rex can work his way through It shouldn't be a like critical problem that he wipes on this plague fight if he does, but it is something that will still be a time loss.
This isn't looking how this is. Yeah. Yeah, it's with the anchor here. It's deceptive. You think of it as a slow spot here, but the count is deceptively fast here.
Absolutely, and it's so unfortunate because this is doubly helpful. Obviously, it's our underground access, it's an objective, but even beyond that, we have so much gear that will help that sit out. We have both of the giant killing axes so far. That Sid will carry us a good way through. So at that point in time, you really, really, really want this Sid because you have not found anything else so far. The only other character you know exists in the seed is a Porum sitting in a bed.
Yeah, and even then here, you have no guarantee that that Porum is going to come anytime soon.
Yeah, if anything, you have a guarantee that Porum won't be getting anytime soon because you know this is underground access, which means you know it can't possibly be the Sand Ruby. So at this point in time, you kind of have to write that Porum off as something that doesn't exist until we actually see that Sand Ruby.
And I guess, one quirk about this spot being slow is that Plague will be slow to initially get the count off. So Rex had enough time to get a Star Belt up on Yang here, and was able to reflect the count back onto Plague here. And now here will just be dealing damage here, as opposed to just waiting for the count to hit Plague itself here, because Plague will just continue to keep casting counts here, trying to get Yang, trying to get that status on Yang here. But as long as that wall's up here, that's never going to happen. So Plague's just going to keep on casting Yang here. So all three party members are safe, and they can just attack freely.
And rather interestingly, over on Eykir's side, he's actually taking the same strategy at this point in time on his first go-round. So our runners are pretty synced up here, running the same strategy on this Plague fight right now.
Yep, so yeah, this point here, this is free.
It's free as long as that Star Veil doesn't run out, which would be my only concern about the spot being a little bit deceptively tanky, but I think probably fine. Oh, and it has run out over on Rex's side.
Yeah, you'll get enough, they'll have enough, you're able to get enough damage here before that happens here, that, after that happens, there'll still be plenty of time here to get that last bit of damage here. And it's just a spoon, which means that we've got a demist hunt for underground access.
Which means that there's only 3 possible places it can be, because we have not seen Mist Cave at this point, we've not seen Waterfall Cave, and obviously we haven't seen the Tower of Zot spot yet. So either way, they know that it has to be demist at this point, so they'll know the 3 spots to go at this point too.
If there's one thing I like, it's a cheeky required demist. I'm all for it.
Absolutely, because demist is always lurking behind it, and when we haven't checked these, there's always a chance we find Wyvern here too, so that does sort of lower that boss hunt sort of unpredictability a little bit by being forced to check all these as well.
Well, that's the wrong D.
Alright, there's D Elf, and then the Waterfall Cave needs to be D Lunars, and then we'll just keep going through there like we're going through a library catalog.
The D trifecta. I'm down for that.
Eykir is getting ready to go in and check this Waterfall Cave, just putting that Poison Axe onto his Sid at this point. Has some pretty decent armor for him as well, so if this does end up being a hook route, at very least that Sid's going to be fairly tanky and able to just toss potions, and there's a Bahamut, so it's up at Zot.
We're going up the tower.
The dream is real. The one time I discount the dream by mentioning, oh, this has to be underground access, it ends up being true.
Yeah, let's have well, so we're gonna see the demons that Zot. Where then, hopefully, Ridius Mom will give something like a Baron Key, and then have that lead into the Earth Crystal, and have that lead to the hook. Something like that. I think would be fun.
I think what I would hope for is Demist that gives Earth Crystal, that gives Harp, that gives Baron Key, that gives underground access.
I can't support a required Harp though here, so
The only reason in that order is because Tower of Zot drops you way back off at Baron again, and then you need to go all the way back again.
That is fair. That's fair. Some Rube Goldberg-like routing.
You ever wanted to see a seed that's decided by how quickly you can fly the airship? Because you might be having that in this case.
Yeah, might look at some looting here. I guess, while you're at it here to try to find gear. Because, yeah, I still don't think we've got even with all the shopping, I still think we don't have great gear here for our current team. Did find another siren though.
Yeah, I think the only good gear we found are those axes for Sid and the mute knife if we happen to hit one of the bosses that the mute knife is good for. But we haven't seen Asura yet. We haven't seen Magus Sisters yet anywhere. So those mute knives are nice, but they're not getting that full bonus here, as Eykir is about to find our good bad news here at this Magus Sister spot.
The bonus round.
At least it's gated behind an easy fight and not a difficult one,
Yeah. It's 9,000 HP, so this is not gonna be quick. But they'll get there eventually. It won't be an issue here. Zemus will only punch 3 times before turning to mist form. You got plenty of time here to, get HP back up to comfortable levels if need be. With a stack of Tier 2s. Yeah, this is fine. It will take a little time, but then after this, it's the walk back, which is something you don't see too often.
It's the walk back, the flight to mist, wherever it goes from there. At this point in time, you're hoping for a magma key. I'm not even sure if you might even be hoping for a hook at this point, just for that character check, though. Well,
Yeah.
plus the objective, but, the character check is the real benefit here, because we still don't have a real party yet.
You would like to see better damage dealer here, a white mage, anybody.
This really is just the seed where it keeps giving you, there's not necessarily a bad character you can get for this setup, but it does keep consistently giving you, the possibly worst one that you could get out of all of them. Except maybe there are worse options than Sid at this point, but even then, if you were to get a Tela that enables grinds, if you have to grind up a party that's not necessarily the party you want to take. So, really, anything is a benefit. That's a good question in chat, too, is do they poke to try and find out who the character is in, and who's in that second dwarf spot at the moment, just at the top of tower here, which seems like it might be a wise decision.
Yeah, certainly no harm, no foul here. Again, here, knowledge in terms of how to approach stuff here can certainly be valuable here. In terms of being able to plan ahead and develop a strategy.
I almost think it's a little bit twofold on that too, because I feel like the character doesn't necessarily matter as much, because with this party, I gotta think if you have an Earth Crystal, you're going for those 2 character checks regardless, because you can fill 2 character spots. You essentially have a Sid, a Yang, a Palom, and 2 blank spaces at the moment, just because even for an Edward, we have not found anything that could even make Edward approach useful yet. So really, the character doesn't necessarily matter so much, but that bonus knowledge on the boss might change things a bit.
Conversely here, at this point here, everything is a straight line until you get... if you're looking for underground access, everything is a straight line until you get to that point. Until you get either a hook or a magnet key here, and then you make your way underground. Then things open up a bit more, because right now all you have are the moon checks, and no one's doing moon checks right now.
Absolutely, and I gotta think as a runner, that's gotta play into your mind a little bit, because this is a slow seed, but I don't think necessarily either of our runners will feel like they're behind, as we are seeing there is a Rydia and an Antlion at the Golbez spot in Dwarf Castle.
Antlion not on the moon. That is unusual.
He just likes to hide out on the moon. You know, he lives in a cave down on Earth, and realistically, the moon is mostly caves, so it's sort of like, you know, it's like vacationing to a beach for him, really.
About that. Oh, if you can find an Earth Crystal here, you know that you're going to get potentially 2/3 of a White Mage, and a good source of damage here if you have a Leviathan. Which I don't believe either. If they haven't sold the Leviathan yet, that's going to be great damage from Rydia. If not, I'm sure there's probably one available for sale somewhere. Eventually.
Yeah, I gotta think you probably aren't selling that Leviathan, especially with nothing to buy, you know? There's an element of what would you have gotten from selling that Leviathan at this point too, and the answer is just they take nothing. I think whether or not this is the Magma Key or the Hook is going to be a huge thing, or another chain, but either way, like, this could be very, very much defining how the next 20 minutes is going to go, just based off of whether or not they're going to have to try and suffer through that Hook route, or if they're going to have more options by going underground immediately.
Well, they're going to have a 5th objective done by hook or by crook, because we've got a hook.
At what cost, though?
Everything.
Oh, at least there's an Ice Claw here at the weapon shop in here in Mist, but there's not many great options to use that Ice Claw on. There's like Rubicant left, and that's, I think Mom Bomb too, and that's pretty much it for Ice Claw giant health bosses here.
Yeah, the other thing you can get with the hook here is access here to gated shops. So you open up possibility of, say, like a samurai bow. I believe Charm Rod, I believe, is also in that level 5 spot here. So stuff here that can be of a little a boost here for your Paladin here, for Edward here to get for him to help contribute to some damage.
Yeah, it's almost a question of what's going to be more important, that or the character check. And on sort of the subject of the character check, like even outside of what we can get out of item shops, is what are you really hoping for here at this point? I got to think it's probably a Cecil with that light sword sitting in your inventory.
So with a light sword here, an edge, so you have a grind option that isn't Mac Giant or Moon bosses. Would be great as well here. Edge, for weapons where you have that ninja sword, burning hole in the inventory as well. Cane less so here, but you're not going to say no to a cane in this spot either here. The one thing you're hoping for is that it's not a duel. You'll take anyone here.
Definitely. We are seeing that we do have the Leviathan for sale here if either of them have sold it. So I do notice that Eykir still has his in the inventory in case he gets Iridia. I'm not sure if Rex does, but if Rex does not, it will not really penalize him if he sold it, because there is just another one sitting here in this Evelyn shop. And what else are you going to buy right now? Elixirs? Tents?
Oh, well, I believe there were a few elixirs that were purchased here.
And that's interesting, because that tells me that Eykir must be happy with what he has for gear at this point. And with samurai arrows there, but not a great bow to go for.
Yeah, not the item shop, not the weapon shop you want to see here. A Ninja hat available for sale at in the armor on the armor side here, in case you want to get another character's agility up.
Yeah, this is definitely not an item shop I would expect either runner to be spending a lot of money in either way. And we're seeing Eykir so kind of desperate for anything at this point in time. He's actually looting the pot here in the sort of Evelyn town. Ends up being rewarded with an Ogre Axe for it.
Ogre Axe and a Black Belt. Decent pots, actually. And finds the one trap chest here with the Stalemate chest.
That's unfortunate because I don't remember where he saved. At least he has that Ice Claw. I guess that's the other bonus of the Ice Claw. These Stalemen quite weak to ice, so he shouldn't have too much of a problem with Ice 2 out of Alum, plus the Yang punching, as long as he doesn't fall over first.
Yeah. Problem here is that the Staleman hit hard. And yeah, this is not looking good.
I think it's an interesting question. Is there a way around that? And is that something you consider going back for at that point in time? Obviously, he's going to have to do the shopping again. But I feel like if he approaches that fight a bit differently, he could get through it, and that might still be worth doing right now. Although, I guess I'm not sure what you get out of that trap chest that would be particularly helpful for this party.
Yeah, you might... I guess the best thing you could find here is money, I guess, at this point here. Yeah, like for something for the party here, you're looking at, if you want something like a Power Shirt or a Zeus Gauntlet, maybe. Those will probably be your best pickups, or a Stardust Rod would be ideal. But yeah, I at these levels and with the gear you have here, I don't think we're going to see a visit back to that chest here. I think we're just going to skip over that.
Unfortunate slight mismenuing there on Eykir's side. Did accidentally buy a couple of Leviathans, is going to sell all three, so now if he has that Rydia, will not end up with the Leviathan in addition to it. So that's going to be a little bit of a problem if that ends up being the character here, but it does look like Rex is now in this fight, and he's not resetting out, so maybe he thinks he can get through it as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure if... I didn't see here if his young hair has the Ice Claw either. Just going to try to use that Gaia Drum here to... We'll help out a little bit here, but yeah, without having a great way to cure the team here, and with the Stalen punching with the damage they have here, yeah, this fight that's going to be a reset. But Eykir, you're starting to find some gear though. You did find a Cat Claw.
A Cat Claw, a Poison Claw, and some Charm Arrows as well for that Edward if you come across. I believe Charm Arrow is good against Giants, is it? I'm having a hard time remembering off the top of my head.
Yeah, but yeah, mute against mages here, charm against giants. If that sounds about right.
So as it turns out, all of our Young and Edward gear that we were hoping for was just sitting here in Cave Evelyn waiting for you to do the entire rest of the overworld to get it. But here's a Cane. What does that do for you at this point?
Well, it's another source of DPS here. You have gear here that where he's going to be useful for, where he won't be. He'll be useful once you get a few more levels on here, and you have you have a few Ogre axes as well here. So that Mad Ogre chest that you're going to see, that's going to be an upper babble here, should be manageable. So that's going to be a good, that's going to be a way here to get, those initial levels on Cane here. Cane's going to get a bit of a slingshot from that as well here. So yeah, you'll be able to get him online pretty quickly here for the hook route.
Now, secondary bad news. How do you get through that CPU at Rubicon?
Slowly.
Where your only source of healing is the Cure 2 potions you made along the way.
The other question is, did they buy a sufficient number of Cure 2 potions to get through that? Because, yeah, you need potentially quite a lot.
Yeah, this just a very very rough situation. This seed is mean. This seed is incredibly mean. And Eykir does find the Mad Ogre chest here. Gonna get those levels up here, and
we still have, and of course, we don't know who's going to be in the King Queen Eblin spot here, and there are a lot of, there's a lot of bosses here who could be extremely mean there as well, such as maybe a Dark Knight Cecil. That would be no bueno.
Any of the quote-unquote free fights that we still have left on the table at this point in time, outside of vanilla King and Queen Eblin, are still going to be problems there too. So there's no really great option. So you assume if you get Dark Imps, I believe that spot is actually kind of punchy still, and could pose a bit of a problem there as well. Like you mentioned, Dark Knight Cecil, and then pretty much everything else is off the table. So I think there's going to be some level of difficulty in that spot, basically no matter what.
Yeah, like maybe here, like maybe take a few extra fights here, take a few battles here. Maybe you bail out, make sure get some keyword. Make sure you have enough keyword 2s here. Maybe take a few of the Eblin trap chests at this time here. Hopefully find some extra gear here, but more importantly, maybe get those extra experience points for this game.
Ninja Hat's not bad, but it's not what you're hoping for here.
No. No, you're looking for upgrades, and that is not going to do too much for a whole lot for the team for what you have right now.
Yeah, it does look like Eykir is just going to keep going through this at this point in time, so he's looking like he's committing to not going back and doing, say, those Castle Eblin trap chests or anything like that. So we'll end up seeing what's at this King Queen Eblin spot here pretty soon, and it's going to be very, very important to find out, especially if Rex ends up finding that trap chest, which I don't think he has yet, and decides he's going to bail after. But it looks like he's skipping chests instead.
Yeah, he's not touching any of these here. So he's going to try to get through here with what he's got right now.
I don't know if you have basically base level Kane, how great that's going to be here. I mean, at very least, he does have that Dwarf Axe to get back row on him, which will be nice if he decides to leave him in that back row from there. Has a Poison Axe, but I don't know. There's a lot of bad options here.
Yeah, you're going to be dependent on Sid and Pound here for your damage. Again, you could Curse Ring the Young as well here to try to slow the fight down a little bit. Mega Sisters. Cindy's gonna. Yeah. This might be one of the better ones here. Strangely enough.
The only real downside to it is that we don't have great mage fighting equipment. The only thing we really have is that mute knife, which only Edward can equip, and the mute arrows, which only Edward can equip. So really, it's just a matter of, hey, this is Edward's time to shine. Let's hope for the best.
Because the punches might hit for a little bit more here. The spells are not going to hit for too much here. This is a spot here where you certainly wish you had Quake.
Definitely, but even this chunk of experience, I think, might even get Palom to Quake. The
Well, there
problem
won't be
is it's not going to help him at this point.
There's no experience here, so...
Oh, I thought this spot here... I must be confused on that part. For some reason, you know what it is? I was thinking of that last time I saw a hook route and it was alt gauntlet here. So that's why, because that ends up giving experience in the non-experienced spaces.
Mindy isn't the issue in the spot, it's Cindy. So now knowing that here, like maybe you try to get Hallam up to Quake at this point here and make that far more manageable.
That looks to be Rex's plan here. It looks like he's looking for a specific kind of enemy encounter at this point in time. I'm not sure which one specifically he'd be looking for, because I have never, while watching one of these races, ever seen anyone try and grind on this floor of Upper Babel, so... Not that one, I think, is the only real answer.
I would be looking for Mad Ogres, most likely. Like the eggs here, I believe, are green dragons. Or let me here. Those will be easier here, and yeah, that's not. Those aren't won't be. Yeah. 2000 here, but you're gonna need to go through a lot of those eggs.
I'm not sure what level Palom is at, but it looks like Eykir has gotten through this fight and is going to be onto the CPU fight. Probably will go back and drop a save first, but has managed to get through those Magus Sisters, so he's going to start pulling out a bit of a lead here as Rex is doing a small level grind.
Lex did find the triple Mad Ogre Terror, but had to bail. This is a potential grind as well here, because once you get rid of Playman, Sorcerer will bring some more characters, but yeah, he's saying no to that.
And this is tough. If you're in Rex's situation where you don't think you can get through that Magus Sisters fight, where you think you need a bit more experience or otherwise, what do you do here to get around that? Mm-hmm. Do you just keep taking these fights which you're having problems with, or do you just at some point in time sort of say, okay, I can't sink more time into trying to get up here. I need to go out and try and do something else instead.
Yeah, Eykir is in fine here, and so we need to find a way here to get. First, you're gonna need to take down here the defender, because this team's not gonna deal enough damage here if that defender stays alive here. Each remedy is is a recovery of 10% of the CPU's HP. CPU at this spot will have 21,000 HP, so that's going to be 2,100 here for each remedy here. So yeah, defender has to go down first here. Defender will also have 2,100 HP here, and it's going to take a while to chip. Virus will certainly help, but then it's going to be physical damage here because that virus won't help against CPU here. The CPU here will cast wall, and if it finds that it doesn't have wall, it'll cast wall again here, so there won't be much of a there's very little gap here to get that virus through in between those walls, if it's even possible.
Yeah, and I think it might even not be worth trying, because if that's something that goes wrong and you virus the wrong person, already you're having an issue with this particular party of not really having party-wide healing, which is a real problem when those mazers are constantly hitting your face for, I think it's 10% of max HP at this point, and really you don't want to be adding to it.
And as a combined here, each turn cycling through here, this team is maybe 2,000 or so here per team cycle, if that, because depending on if the team's low rolling or not here. So with Mazer doing 10% of the HP here, yeah, that's.
I think it's just a question of
this team won't be able to do that. Yeah, this team won't be able to outpace the Mazer here without curing.
Yeah, we are starting to see Edward throwing out these Cure 2 potions, which I believe he has 8 left at this point. That might be enough here. We are going to see Edward swapping to that Earth Hammer instead, which I believe does not actually do bonus damage against this particular boss, because CPU, I believe, is technically not a machine and also technically not flying for reasons I do not know.
No, just game design reasons. We'll just call it that. Everything's a feature, not a bug. Everything makes sense in Final Fantasy IV, don't ask us.
He's not floating, he's hovering. There's a difference. We do see Edward and Palom go down, which might not be the worst thing in the world, honestly, because they're not really contributing anything to this fight outside of just eating up turns, so maybe that's an okay thing. We are going to need to see one of the others start to throw out potions here. I would imagine Sid at this point in time, but that might actually still be okay, although these Mazers coming out a lot faster now.
Like Ken and Yang here, we're getting the majority of damage here. They'll be taking over these duties here. Sid will play Chemist. I didn't see how many Cure 2s were in the inventory though, so there's 5 here. I'm not sure there's another stack somewhere.
I I think that's
5.
it. Is gonna dip into the elixirs though.
But Sid goes down, so this is not. This is the situation's becoming a little more precarious.
Yeah, to answer a question from chat of can you bounce float onto the CPU and Quake, or bounce float in the Quake, you can, but it's RNG. Firstly, you would need a source of float, which we do not have because we do not have a white mage. But you then bounce it off and it's random which one it will hit. If it hits the attacker, you're free to Quake. If it hits the CPU, you do not get to. You either reset and try again until you do that, or you just accept the loss and go for it. So it's a strategy you can do, but it's RNG dependent on who that float ends up landing on afterwards.
Rex gets through his Mega Sisters fight. Will likely be safety saving. Yes, headed back to the safe spot here, and then we'll make his attempt at taking down the orbs.
And this is always going to be a brutal spot here for this fight.
Vampire is not going to be, well, at least no harm, no foul, I guess.
Somehow it did nothing, which I don't understand, because I would have thought it would have done damage to that. But it looks like he's going to try and vampire off the attacker instead, which is an interesting and bold play. Might as well. As long as it doesn't knock out attacker, which it looks like it's fine, that's probably going to be okay.
It won't here. I don't like the smaller orbs will have 2100 HP at this spot here. I don't think any of them. I don't think the attacker took a hit at any point here, so that's going to be fine.
Here's the thing, though, and this is the big problem, is we'll get through this fight, and if we get through this fight on Eykir's side, you've now chewed through all of your curing items and still don't have a white mage. And so I'm kind of curious about what that's going to cause for problems later, because he'll probably have to restock at some point in time. So hopefully, remembers where those cure potions are at that point. I know that's something I'm bad at writing down, so we'll see.
Or if you're lucky enough here, you'll find another source here when you inevitably here check the shops in the underground area. But looks like your Eykir is stabilizing as best he can here. As long as CPU here is close to crumbling, should be okay. But this is going to be dicey still here. Kane's going to need to dodge a few of these mazers.
Definitely, and looking over on Rex's side, he's taking a bit of a different approach, has put some of those samurai arrows and archer bow onto Palom, and also has 22 cure 2s instead. So if Eykir doesn't get through this, the downside of that for him in this case is that Rex is way better set up to approach this fight. The only problem is his attacker has gone down, and now he's trying to out DPS the defender instead.
Yeah, and I don't think here there's enough power here to be able to outpace this here, and if there is, it's not by a lot. So Kane's able to hit here, but he's not going to hit fast. And even then, it's taking the reset here, because that's not going to be enough here to outpace a 2100 100 HP recovery here. And even if you did here, even if we were doing like 100 more here, that's a net of 100 here, and then you chip down 21,000. That's not going to be a fun fight.
You just need to sit through 210 turns of that fight. That's fine. At that point in time, run out of arrows before you would get it anyways. So even if you have that 1700, you need to out DPS it by enough for those arrows too. So it looks like he's going to take the more standard strat of take the defender down now.
This has become a battle of resources and finding enough to be able to get through the CPU, because you don't buy curatives here typically here in anticipation that you're going to have a fight like this.
Yeah, you really don't. And then the question is, what do you do if this fight fails after you've sunk this much time into it? Because the temptation is, I gotta go for it again. I can get it if I just execute that little tiny bit better. Yeah, and it looks like Eykir is actually through that CPU.
Yeah, so this is gonna be... I don't know about this here. Well, yeah, with King jumping here, yeah, trying to get those levels on Palom as Palom having low enough, no, high enough here vitality here to be able to tank one Mazer hits, but Kane didn't do quite enough damage here with that jump. So it's just gonna have to settle here with getting with experience here for just Young and Kane here.
Yeah, that is deeply unfortunate they didn't end up getting that XP, but at this
Yeah.
point in time, he's got plenty of grind opportunities open to him that I think he'll be fine. You know, he's still capable of doing Mac Giants right now, I think, with the setup he has, so he's in good shape. And hey, there's Yang number 2 at the top of the tower here.
Yeah, the mirror match.
You're not taking that anytime soon at all. If you've ever been tempted to just do keyless tower for some reason right after doing the hook route, this is not one of the seeds for you.
No. Given here that we've only have 4 key items so far located, yeah, I'm gonna check the easier ones first here. First thing I'm probably gonna do is check the Fey March, then set up Sheila 1. If any of those things pan out here for character checks, anything like that here, I'll probably be diving those as well. You may want to take a peek. Yeah, you could probably do Dwarf Castle as well at this point.
I think he's going here for the heal to get everyone revived back up at this point and not necessarily spend a cabin, which is interesting if he's going back down Fey March because he's just going to lose all that HP anyways.
Yeah. Gonna do some shopping first, though. Taking a peek at the item shop and life potions here.
Well, if you find an Earth Crystal, you have technically a White Mage with Rydia and that Asura summon at very least. Obviously, still going to be hoping, even at this point in time, you probably got to not hope for Rosa and just hope for the Sand Ruby to take Forum instead. So really, at this point in time, you've got options. We are seeing Biological Technician for the Job Dwarf today, so it's nice to know that he's very educated.
And yeah, sadly here the other dwarf is still ignored. No one ever talks to him.
You know, I think Job Dwarf probably talks to him about his day and like that. And, you know, he's fine not dealing with the strangers, fine just dealing with us at this point in time. But, you know, it is what it is. Here is the big question I have about the shopping. Is with this party right now, what do you find in a shop that's going to change what's going on at present? Because I'm not entirely sure there's anything for this party right now that is going to change very much in these shops.
I think the biggest thing I saw here in that weapon shop was a Charm Rod to get Palom's magic levels a little bit higher. But yeah, maybe a Gungnir Spear for Kane. Yeah, I've upgraded Wizard Gear here, maybe bandana / headbands or strength rings, stuff like that. But yeah, Gear has been slim pickings given their team here, it's been pretty slim pickings. Like it's a make do type of seed so far.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like this party is almost oddly insulated from that. Hey, there's a package. I think that is the most thrilled that any runner will ever be to have seen a package in a seed like this, because I'm almost saying, you know, go back up and check it, because there's so many things that could be worthwhile right now.
We've got elixirs in here too, is at the Fey March, so that's going to be a great help while we're still in a mageless state. A white mageless state, at least.
Definitely. I'm thinking about that package now. There's so many good options. And again, that's just the theme of this seed, is we've been getting the worst option for characters everywhere along the way. And hey, there's a Sparkle, so we're about to see if this ends up being that Wyvern.
And to the relief of of Eykir, I'm sure. Just the Pale Dim, so we'll never have to visit that spot ever again.
I believe that improves it to a 50% chance of Baron being Wyvern because I don't believe we've seen the D-Lunars anywhere yet either.
Yeah,
So that's, yeah.
Yeah, 3 of the other Lunar Sparkles are off the table. Yeah, so yeah, it's a 50-50 odds for Baron.
Looks like Eykir is going to take this Dwarf Castle check instead, which, I mean, might as well while you're down here and hope for the character out of that to be good. My mind has already purged what that second is. Antlion, I think, at this second spot. So
second character wasn't second character indeed here is the Antlion. But hoping here for a white mage. Edge. I'm thinking you would even take an edge in this spot. Certainly take a Cecil the spot here. Yeah, Edward is sadly not going to do much for his team here, so he's expendable.
I feel like if you were going to come up with a situation in which being forced into having an Edward might be able to be mitigated, this has been the worst possible setup for that in general. And we are seeing a Rune Axe here for sale, so that's a pretty good pickup.
And there's still a few fights here where that'll come in handy. Oh, we're going to know where the Wyvern is after we see who this is. Wyvern's either going to be here or at Baron.
And meanwhile, over on the other side, just while we're waiting to see what the Sparkle ends up being, Rex is pretty stable in this CPU fight. It is a long CPU fight, as it always will be on this hook route, but it looks like he's not going to have too much of a problem getting through it. Still pretty healthy on the whole, has that Edward just slinging potions. Only down to 6 Cure 2s, but got to be getting close to the end of this HP pool.
And we see Lunars on Eykir's side, so we know that Wyvern is in Baron Castle.
Here's the question, are you relieved to see D-Lunars here, or are you sad to see D-Lunars here? Because I think it might be the sad side of things.
I maybe sad here that it's not an objective here, but now you have, if you're keeping track here, you have the knowledge that you know where Wyvern is now here, so you know that Baron. If you find the Baron key here, that's something that you're going to want to pursue. The team's able to get in. Hopefully, we'll make it through here because these fires are coming out fast, and this. Yeah, I believe Kane's got some gear here to mitigate the elemental damage here. So yeah, this jump should take care of it here, but now you got one character here going into the Antlion fight. If this is a dupe, he's going in alone.
Is, at very least, knowing that Wyvern is at that Baron spot, we do know that we are 1 key item away from go mode on both sides too, notwithstanding what this is. And it looks like we are going to have a second Palom here, so no reprieve from the character crunch today on Eykir's side.
Antlion's still going to hit for enough here, so this is not comfortable.
I don't know. How do you get through this at this point in time? I guess it's not hitting Kane for that much. Might be able to. It's going to change Rose to try and get through this here.
And I'll be able to get through. Yeah, should be fine now here because now Kane can jump. And with that here, now with Kane jumping here, you're also not going to get the counters. Antlion's counter script. And now Kane's only going to be taking for 1 here. So Kane hoarding all the experience points in these 2 fights. But Eykir will be able to get through this.
I think the only real good news about how those fights went, outside of obviously getting through them at this point, is that really you want to be getting levels on, I guess, 2 characters at this point, and it's Palom, who you're not getting it on, but also that Yang you kind of want to get built up a little bit more so he's a bit more useful later on just through those sheer scaling. So he is at least going to keep getting experience through that Sea Hero flag, so it's not entirely just on Kayn, but it's mostly on Kayn.
Yeah, you ideally here you want to get you want to be able to share the have the other members here get a little bit of that healthy chunk of XP that you get here in Dwarf Castle. It does get an Earth Crystal for its trouble though. So 2 more checks. That's Iridia. That's 2/3 of a white mage.
Yep. And to answer a question from chat real quick, has anyone peeked Cave Bahamut yet? Yes! It's Baigan, which is fun.
Depends on one's definition of fun. It's our definition of fun. Our runners may disagree with that.
You will see Cave Bahamut again at the very end of the seed when there's nothing left, basically.
Now, of course, our other question is, so far here, now, you'll have a better idea here once you go up Tower of Zots. But say you don't find an edge. Say you don't find a Tella. Our grind options become a little more limited.
I gotta think the only option at that point in time is Mac Giant, which I think we have the setup to pull off, but Mac Giant grind is Mac Giant grind, and there's no way to make it safe because we don't have that Blink caster to make it really, really safe, or a Cecil to make it even safer, so it's a risky grind, but it's doable.
Yeah, it's Mac Giant grind is the slower of the Giant of Babel grinds by a considerable margin here, but you do have Palom here who's able to cast Stop. You get, if you can find a Thunderclaw here, that's Yang being able to get bonus damage on the Mac Giants. You have the Earth Hammer on Sid, so the Mac Giant, while going to be lengthy here, is certainly feasible.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the Sheila too, because I think if you're looking for that... Oh, there's a Sand Ruby. I think we're going for a Porum right now.
Yes. A full white mage here, yeah, the old... Eddie's time in this party here is most likely coming to an end.
This may be the most excited I will have ever seen any runners to be like, hey, we've got access to a Porum right now, which... you sort of make the joke that Porum is categorically worse than Rosa in basically every way, but right now, any white mage is so much of a benefit. This is the real time for that Porum to shine.
Yeah, you can take the Porum here. If you go up Zot here, you can take the Iridia here. You now have two mages to slingshot with that Mac Giant. So we're probably gonna. Assuming here both our runners here have Mac Giant in mind here, that's probably what we're going to, what we may end up seeing.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those situations in which the benefits of Sid are quite low comparatively. Because you think of what Sid's good at. He's a good agility anchor. We have Sea Hero on, he doesn't get to decide agility. He's pretty good with helping facilitate that grind just through axes, but he doesn't swing for that much no matter what you give him anyway, so it's not like it's a huge loss if you get rid of him. He's a good chemist, but we have a Yang, so you might as well just dump him out at this point.
Yeah. Like if I were in these shoes right now, like in these runner shoes here, I'm seeing, I can slingshot a Porum, I can slingshot the Iridia. I have a second black mage in Palom. I've got a Yang who I can put a curse string on here, and I have a Sid who can tank damage. Not only am I going to slingshot the other two characters here, I'm going to try to get Nuke on Palom, and I'm going to go plan with reflex strats in mind. Having two mages here with Eykir is going to make Baigan much easier. that's if I were like in the spot here, that's what my strategy would be right now, or in terms of in my train of thought, in terms of how to approach the rest of the seed. Get those up here, and then just blow everything. Try to blow everything up. That grind is not going to be not going. It's going to take a while here. So, and I don't think none of our runners are close to 10 key items either. So while the slingshot will make getting Nuke and Nuke and White here faster on the on Rydia and Porum. The question is, do you take the time here to get Hallam up to Nuke right away here, or do you hope that you're able to grind him up to those levels after the slingshot?
Right now, I think you just any thought that you're having about the seed might have just been overwritten by how good this treasury was for the party we just found, because we found a white spear, we found a black shirt, and a Stardust Rod for that Palom as well. So this is like, if you were looking for one of the better treasuries you could have for this very specific party, that is an extremely good set of prizes right now.
Yeah.
I think about the only thing that could make it particularly better is maybe if that were a defense sword instead of a white spear, but even then, I don't think we're at Kane levels where defense sword is better yet.
Yeah, if you wore a white shirt here to, to upgrade that Porum a little bit here after that's after your most likely inevitable slingshot. Yeah, with those items here, Eykir's going to have a decision to make. And that it may very well depend on who that second character is.
Definitely, I almost think the package is a bit off the table. Like maybe you still peek it and hope it's an edge and you can steal sirens, but at this point in time, it's not looking particularly appealing to go and check it right now. We have these last two character checks on table for just one boss fight. So really, that sort of has pushed its way out too, and that's going to factor into things too, is why would you want to go for that package at any point in time in the near future either? So it might be interesting to see if Rex doesn't go and get that Earth Crystal, what will he end up going for at this point in time, because he could end up checking that package and spending that time sitting through it and not being rewarded as much.
Let's see who that second character is here, and it's another Palom.
Yeah, Palom number 3 is not particularly appealing for me at this point in time. I think probably the Rydia over Sid. We'll see. Nope, not going to take the Rydia.
Not take the Rydia here. Interesting. That leads me to believe here that he's thinking more of a melee strat. Now with that here, obviously you don't necessarily need as many levels. I probably would have gone a different direction, but that again here we're this may be something here that maybe going with a more melee focus here with Sid, Young, and Kane here, something like a strategy that he's more comfortable with here in terms of being able to take on the rest of the seed.
He could also just be dropping that Rydia for right now and then going back and picking up Rydia again later when he's ready for that grind, which is a possibility, but I guess if you're doing a moon grind, you're already heading over that way anyways.
Because this after this, depending on what Earth provides here, if Earth doesn't provide, it provides a terminal key item or nothing at all here, we're left with top of tower and the moon.
Yeah, I think you grind from here, because I don't think you want to even take that karate fight right now with the party you have and the levels you have, and if you're going to level grind, you might as well go all the way. So at this point in time, I'm kind of assuming that if this doesn't pay off, the next step is go do that grind, even without the 10 key items.
Eykir also has 3 sirens, so he can always use those here. If he doesn't have a slingshot plan here, can always use those here to get a boost. And we only find a longsword after Zods.
All right, here's the next big question. Do you check the package? Nope.
If I'm Eykir, no. At this point, I think I'm gonna live with the party I've got. On Rex, and I don't think Rex is gonna check it at this point either. Here, at this point here, you're gambling on a Tello or an Edge, most likely. And I don't think you necessarily want to sit through the cutscene and have to know the cutscenes to get that character.
Yeah, I can see maybe if it's an Edge, it might still come out fine. I think even with the Tello at this point, you're comfortably enough set up for a Mac Giant grind that you probably don't necessarily care about how much faster D Machine might be for that cutscene. But I think Edge is a unique case in this particular situation because not only is he enabling a grind, we found a lot of gear for him. We found that ninja sword and a long sword, which is enough to at least get him going. We probably are going to find something else later. We've had ninja shirts, ninja hats, ninja everything so far down the line. Even got a spoon for him to hurl at that Baigen if he chooses to try and get through that quickly. So it could be pretty good there. I did not see what that ended up being out of that chest, though.
That was the second Stardust Rod from the alert chest on Eykir's side. So I guess that's now an extra 30,000 GP.
It's an extra 30,000, or if he goes back and picks up that Rydia before a grind, it could be equipment for her as well.
Yes. So Eykir won't be making it to the top here, and then Rex will most likely be pursuing that chain for the Earth Crystal here. We'll have a character decision here, but ultimately we'll either need to come back on the ground or take a shot at the moon.
I think that depends on how Rex feels he is in this place. And I feel like the wipes that he took earlier, he might be feeling behind at this point in time. And so he might be inclined to take a gamble on a moon play at some point in time a bit more than Eykir will. Whereas Eykir, of course, he's chasing. You might as well keep chasing at this point. If you've gone through that tower, you're kind of committed to, if my opponent's already gone to the moon, I've pretty much lost, so I might as well keep going.
Yeah, like, if you put yourself in the runner's mindset, do either of these runners feel like they're ahead at this point here? You're 90 minutes in. You've got 7 key items at this point, and you have an idea of where, like, I don't remember here if both characters, if both our runners here check Cape Bahamut here, but 1 item away from go mode.
I know Rex did. I'm pretty sure Eykir did, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I think in terms of whether or not you think you're ahead, I think Eykir might feel like he's fine at this point because this seed has just been laid out in that narrow, long, it's going to take you an hour and a half way no matter what. Rex, on the other hand, having taken those couple of wipes and other fights, might be a bit more feeling behind at this point from it. So it's kind of like, I'm not sure if Eykir feels like he's behind, but he probably doesn't feel like he's ahead either.
Yeah, Cecil would be very nice at the spot here, but we don't have the luxury because we don't even know if Cecil's paying a visit today. He could be hiding out in the package here, but I don't think we'll ever find out at this point here. But definitely outpacing the damage here that Karate is able to put out. The kicks aren't doing a whole lot here, and between the quakes here, the cane jumps here, the Yang power punches here, straightforward.
And to answer the question from chat, how have we gone to the moon? I believe Darkness Crystal was at the Fabul check right at the start, and where we had a young Edward start. both of our runners basically immediately went up there to check the character and have not been back since. I know Rex checked Cave Bahamut. I'm not 100% that Eykir checked
However, we've got our go mode. Because Karate at the top of Lower Babel has the Baron Key. That Baron Key is going to delete to Wyvern. So we've got the way here to Objective 1 and Objective 2. Objective 2 here with the Darkness Crystal and the Baron Key leading to Wyvern.
Absolutely. So this is going to be you grind if you're Eykir, even without the 10 key items. You don't go fishing for 2 more at this point in time because you're not going to get it out of Baron. So you might as well just do your grind now and deal with it that way and then have an easier time sailing through everything else so far. I kind of expect that might be worth doing that even necessarily before Baron at that point in time, because if you're doing, it doesn't really matter 100%. You're not going to get a ton of useful experience out of Baron. You're not so likely to do it, and either way is probably going to be about as viable.
Yeah, at this point here, like if Baron even if Baron has the key item here, that will put it at 9 key items here. But depending on what that key item is here, if it's a terminal key item, that means, if you want to get your 10th here, you would have to try to pursue a moon spot here. So it's weighing that whether here being able to find that 10th on some potentially rude spots here is worth the time savings you would have by doing your grind in half the time. If there's no key item here, yeah, you're definitely gonna do your grind now afterwards.
Yeah, I'm not sure at this point in time whether or not it's worth checking, even if you get like a Pan or a Rat Tail beyond that. I mean, I guess you might as well chase it down. Pan in particular, I feel like, is sinking a lot of time in the hopes of getting a 10th key item you're not guaranteed. So that's a little bit complicated there. I mean, I guess
Dishmu did bring up a good point here. If it's if Baron happens to give exactly Legend Sword, forging that would provide your 4th objective. You would get the crystal here, and then you would have your 10 key items. So if it's that perfect key item, I think that would make things much easier. But Eykir going to be facing a Wyvern, and we'll see what Wyvern will be blarging today.
Yes, for those of you who are not used to Highway to the Zemus Zone 4 flags yet, first of all, welcome. We're glad to have you, and I hope you're enjoying the tournament as you've seen so far. Secondly, this is one of the first tournaments, if not the first tournament, we've had the Witchburn flag on instead of the usual Wyvern, so he will cast a random enemy ability instead if he even bothers to get to it, which he just doesn't.
Nope. Blarg, no blarg. Womp womp.
Never mind then. Speech invalidated.
We may get a chance to find out later on, but not now. And yeah, they don't. On the Baron Throne, we get the palette swap.
Yep, he turns blue, and now he's just going to stand there, and this will be pretty much over at this point in time. We'll see what this key item ends up being. So at this point, he's in good shape. The only real question on Eykir's side is, do you dump off one of your characters to try and slingshot that Rydia up and do sort of reflect strats, or do you just keep what you have and still just do a quick grind and that'll be it?
Because you know your path. Unless this is a Legend Sword here, you've got a Baigen waiting for you. And Baigen's gonna most likely eat this team alive at its current levels. Quake would be might be a bit iffy at this point in terms of being able to arm lock the Baigen here, but Baigen will still punch pretty hard.
Yeah, and I think that would have been a good reason to have kept the Rydia at this point in time, because if you can slingshot her up even just to Quake, then that makes that Baigen so much safer, because you've got those 2 different Quakes coming up. You time them enough, it should help out quite a bit. We'll end up seeing what this key item is, though, because this key item is definitely going to decide where we go from here.
I think it was palette number 4. Yeah.
Who doesn't like Palm number 4? And it's a tower key, so not going to chase that almost certainly at this point in time, only at 9 key items.
And tower keys are relatively quick checks, so there's the argument where you could gamble if you wanted to, depending on and I guess it's maybe depending on how you want to approach your grind fights. But it looks like Eykir is gonna go straight to the moon. Eykir does have the 3 sirens in hand here, so could potentially take a dragon fight here. Warlocks even on the LST here. You also have the behemoth fights available here, although that might be. I think maybe a bit borderline with this team in terms of being able to get enough damage on them here to be able to take the behemoth down here while keeping some quantity of members of your party alive to get the experience. But it looks like Eykir is going straight into the Eigen fight here. Of course, if he gets this down, if successful here, that's the completion of the objective here would be the 10th key item with the crystal.
It's a very, very bold move, and yeah, 1800 on that Kane already. I'm not sure this is going to work out because I don't think you can even get the blinks up in time. Nope, this is not going to work.
Yeah, and Eigen is one-shotting everyone, picking them off here. Yeah, this is gonna make another attempt at it. Looks like though, maybe make some adjustments. Maybe try to slow down the battle a little bit here, knock down the battle speed down some. I'm not sure if the Yang is cursed ring at this point.
He's not. It looks like he's gonna take behemoths instead.
Rex is through this Croy fight and has that Baron key in hand, and will most certainly be making a beeline towards Baron Castle here. Try to close the gap.
And he could do it, especially if this doesn't end up being enough of a level grind to sort of, I don't want to say solve Eykir's problems, because I think that's not necessarily true here, but at the same time, if he ends up going for a grind and does it more efficiently and gets through that Baigen fight more efficiently, he could catch up a good deal of this time here. But I think we probably need to see another wipe or two out of Eykir to avoid this going to Game 3 as it stands right now.
Of course, there's still while there's not a lot of objectives left to do here, there's still a lot can still happen, and the behemoth fight here is not, even at these levels, isn't going to be easy. And if he gets through it here, depends on where those who's left here to reap the experience rewards.
And I guess if you're behind and you're in Rex's position, as has been talked about quite a bit in chat with that tower key, if you're feeling behind, do you feel more inclined to chase that tower key on the off hopes of gambling that it's that exact legend sword?
Exact legend sword here, or even any legend sword here would certainly make this faster here, because that's one thing you don't even have to go through here. Yeah, it's a risk reward thing here, and also here's whether you're game planning here to if you feel here that your opponent may need to wipe here, but maybe may try to go into the fight on a lower level than you here, maybe getting those, hopefully getting the 10th item so you can grind faster here, or even grind to a higher level here where you can get through, where you can feel comfortable here that you'll be able to get through the Z fight in one fight, and maybe gamble here that your opponent might wipe.
Yeah, and it's certainly possible. I mean, with how mean the seed is being, I almost wonder if you taking a wipe maybe doesn't even feel quite as rough as it would otherwise. Because at this point in time, you got to be expecting maybe the maybe my opponent's been having as rough of a time too. It does look like we're getting powder out of that Witchburn, which is interesting one that I've never seen before. It looks like it's just inflicts blind.
Yep. You know, I've seen out of, I think it's like the second or third time I've seen powder here. You can certainly do worse, even with the powered down Witchburn.
Yeah, I was just like thinking through my brain. Doesn't blind not actually work in this game? But I think it does work in this game. At 6, it's glitched out of the Super Nintendo ones where it just doesn't matter at all. But yeah, it's nice that we've had Wyvern just passing out novelty sunglasses to everyone around here, ready for the 3D movie that is this King Queen Evelyn fight.
Yep. And if you don't like movies here, at least you don't. At least you're blinded here, so you don't have to watch through any of it. You can just listen for when the movie's over.
Exactly, and over on Eykir's side, it looks like he might have decided after that Behemoth fight, that first one was a bit rough, that he's going to head back out and possibly go down and take the Ribbon Room or one of the other altars for a 10th key item at this point.
Question here being here, like, some of our more free fights are off the table. Dark Imp's off the table here, Officer Soldier off the table, Queen Evelyn off the table. Baron Guard still on the table, or in terms of easier fights. What would
Baron Guards?
Yeah, what would Eykir want to see at this spot? Mylon
and Friends would be a good one. Even something like, I mean, Octoman will be punchy, but it's doable. There's a few options, but I would think that Mylon and Friends would be probably the best non-free fight option here.
Eykir might be thinking 10th key item, but because he's going for the White Spear altar.
Free but slow?
Yeah.
And I gotta think that if you're in Eykir's shoes too, where you're now taking this 10th key item, you're regretting not chasing that tower key at this point in time, which, you know, was a valid decision at the time he took it, but it's one of those things where hindsight might be giving you that little bit of, I probably should have gone for that now.
Now, Rex, having gotten the tower key, also has 9 key items at this point here, making the same decision to go up to the moon now. We'll see how Rex approaches this, and whether he'll try to make an attempt right away at the bike, and it looks like he is, because he's landing right in front of Cave Valley.
I don't think he's going to be any better prepared for this Baigan fight than Eykir was, but we'll see.
Yeah, like both our runners here have made the exact same checks at this point, leading up to this point. So, like, the levels are going to be pretty similar, and this is... So, we're probably going to get similar results out of this, which is not going to be good news on Rex's side. But we'll see. We'll see, you know, if Rexman makes other adjustments here to try to make this fight manageable.
I mean, it's possible. He could put a curse ring on that Yong and try and get through that way. There's ways of massaging this around. He's going to drop his battle speed to 3 at very least. We'll see how this goes. It looks like he has a few more levels than Eykir had, because his mage HP is significantly higher, so this might go a bit better for him. And there's the exact worst first target possible.
They're not getting one shot here, but this is still uncomfortable. We'll get a better idea here once the Quake goes off. Oh, there goes the Yong.
Yeah, as long as this Quake takes out both arms, this should be doable. But it's only going to take out one. That's still doable.
Yeah. But even with 2 here, yeah, Kane goes down for the count. And unfortunately, the magic isn't too low here, so the vampires aren't going to be as nasty as they can be.
Yeah, this is a pretty. It should turn stable from here. It's just been a very unfortunate fight for Rex so far because he's been having the absolute wrong targets picked by good old targeting RNG every single time. So we'll see. As long as he's able to get enough damage out. My concern is what happens when these blinks start to wear out, where we've got those walls now bouncing onto our party here.
It's whether you can get the blinks back up fast enough. Yeah, Pounce need to get a turn here to get another Quake out. Eykir does get past Luke. Finds a white shirt, which is going to be great for Porum, but doesn't do much for the key item count. And now we have the Song of My People, the Poison Walk.
That is a bad prize for Eykir, because he committed a lot of time to that fight trying to get a 10th key item, preferably before doing the Ribbon Room with its giant chunk of XP, and has not been rewarded for it.
Yeah.
So we'll see where he goes from here. I have to assume he just has to accept that he's going to take the Ribbon Room at 9 and go from there.
Again, you still have the still sitting on the 3 sirens. Unless he's still here. Speaking of Mylon and friends, here they are.
At least it's a break from everything else this seed has been, because this seed has been, I'm having like second-hand grind here going on from it, because this has been a horrible slog of the seed. We're almost 2 hours in and we don't even have that 4th objective yet, and that is something you're glad to see at this point.
Now, what you are seeing on Rex's side is that he's got all of his party members back up. Mind you here, that's going to be more targets here for buying into aim at, as down goes Kane again here. But for them, before the here that are playing right now here, he's making this work.
The problem he keeps having is he keeps picking up Kane, queuing a jump. Baiken keeps saying, nope, you're staying right here, and knocking Kane back over again. And this has happened the past 3 attack cycles that Baiken has done, but he still keeps knocking down Kane at this point. But Quake takes out both arms, so now going to have that little bit of a recovery period.
Like, assuming he can keep the blinks up here, and assuming the Paladin's able to keep throwing out Quakes here, the fight will end eventually. It'll be a slow fight here, but this could be what Rex needs here to pull ahead.
I think the question of that is, how much grind do you need from this point in time to take on that Z fight? How much will Eykir having that 10th key item shave off of his grind, and will that make up for having to still do Baiken? I'm not convinced that this 10th key item will make up that time difference right now.
And that's, of course, that's on the assumption here that we even have a 10th key item here.
Yeah, and that's also another thing too. But at very least, this is the best opportunity for it.
Like, it's a good chance they'll have one here, given how many checks remain. But it is a slight possibility that there isn't a 10th key item here. Rex will have 10 key items after getting through this fight here. The main body's gone here, so even if both arms explode here, there'll be a surviving party member. There goes the right arm here. Rex has his 4th objective, will have his 10th key item.
That's right. I keep forgetting that the crystal counts for some reason, but that will actually be the 10th key item in this case. So yeah, Rex just took a huge lead by getting through that, and an Excalibur for a Cecil that we don't have.
And a good Edward that we also don't have, because at least he can throw it.
Yeah, this is an interesting situation here. I think at this point in time, Eykir needs this to be a legend sword out of this Ribbon Room, and that will put him back in this race. So this is a little bit rough. I don't think we'll see a package check at this point in time. It's too much time investment even for a Cecil with Excalibur. So I think we're just going where we're going. We're going to see what grind he ends up doing, and we'll go from here.
Rex has a few options here. There's behemoths here. He's got a siren here he can use on, like, maybe a gold dragon here. Like, those are... Well, he's going to take random fights in Cave Valley here. Looks like he's going to try to find a dragon fight.
That's not what he was looking for.
Yeah, but single warlocks and single red giants aren't going to be the fastest way. Single warlocks definitely beatable. And Eykir, through Mylon fans here, finds a rat tail for key item number 10. Rat tail. Now, at this point here, do you chase rat tail and hope? Or do you...
I don't know. I gotta think, yeah, you kind of have to at this point in time. If you just committed all that time to checking that key item spot, you gotta kind of just follow it through and hope. But it's either that or do a grind and then try and get through Baigan. So either way, I'm not sure one of them is better than the other. It looks like he might be heading further down to try and hit that legend sword.
Yeah. I'd be remiss here to mention here that the second key item here, the second treasure chest at the river here was Hanzo's Steel, was a Masamune here for our other Edward, who is apparently not making an appearance in the seed either.
Yeah, I don't know if I just don't know what Eykir's best strategy here is at this point. I think maybe hoping for a legend sword might still be a better play, at least from what we know at the moment, where we know that Rex is now ahead.
And Mom Bomb is certainly not going to be any faster. It's certainly not going to help in being able to, try to get through, the moon bosses quickly here. And even with 10 kms here, you're going to be losing out on some of the experience as well here, because the experience will be divided up between the different forms.
Yeah, I gotta think that if you're still checking moon bosses at this point in time, where you can get through that, what Eykir must be thinking is, I cannot get through this Baigan without committing a lot of time to a grind, and I gotta try and get that legend sword instead, because I've already wasted too much time spending down here at the bottom of the moon. So really, that's gotta be the only hope, is I've already committed to being down here, I might as well go for it.
It's an interesting, a sort of interesting tactic here. There are still a bunch of key items here that can potentially gate that legend sword here. You still have a twin harp in play here. You still you have a tower key that hasn't been checked. That would be that would definitely be a feel bad here if the legend key were behind there. Luca key is still on the table as well here, where I can also gate that legend sword. Pan is on the table on top of that as well. So there's. You're hoping for the ledge sword here, but if you're going for the strategy, you could also get rabbit hole.
Yeah, and there's also the straight up zonk at this point of pink tail still on the table too, and that legend sword could also be behind the rat tail you haven't checked. So I'm curious as to, we'll hear obviously what Eykir's thought process is behind this during the interview, but I'm curious as to if this is just a play to just try and get both the 10th key item, or not 10th key item, get that legend sword and get experience, in which case this Mom Bomb fight, losing it's going to be a bit rough. We'll end up seeing here. There's a lot of different factors that could be going into this decision right now, and I don't want to say that any decision that he could be making here is incorrect, because I don't think it would be, but I think his gambles are not necessarily paying off for him at this point.
Yeah, like for a seat here that was very linear and narrow at one point here, has certainly become a very interesting here in terms of the strategy, the different approaches here that races are taking here to try to solve the seed here, to get through this faster here than their opponents.
I don't know, it's going to be very interesting interviews today, I think, is where we're at this point in time, because there's so many decisions that they've been making in terms of gambles and like that just analyzing them is going to be a very fun experience. As we are seeing now, this Mom Bomb is getting ready to explode. We'll end up seeing how much this does, but this is a very scary set of HP values for how strong this Ogopogo spot is.
Yeah. Looks like, I'm not sure if Rex used this one Siren here or found this fight encounter here through a random encounter here. It does have the King Roof right here. This will provide 120,000 experience for the party for each member that's still up at the end of it here. At some point here, just gotta figure out here like how much grind will be enough to be able to take on the to be able to get through the Z fights. Unfortunately, it looks like Eykir took a wipe to the Mom Bomb. I thought we got through and didn't find anything. I didn't quite see the end of that.
He ended up taking a wipe. The explode hit for 1,000 across his party, knocked out everyone but Sid, who then immediately ate 2 attacks for about 1,000 to 1,300 each. And I'm kind of curious as to why he's taking this fight again, because I feel like even if you get through with all 5 party members to that explode, those 6 bombs queue up an attack. They might just knock out your whole party before you can even respond anyways.
Yeah, it's... Again, I think it seems to be like, again, as you mentioned, there's gambling on that Legend Sword. Which is curious here because after you took down the Wyvern, you know that Cape of Humd is going to be there available here for the taking here. So, unless you think that Rex is going to have the same trouble that he is here, maybe that's why you're seeing this strategy here. But yeah, in most cases here, if you have one objective available that you know is there here, you're going to go for the sure thing, as opposed to the gamble. Again, this seems like a big gamble.
I think it might just be that sort of mindset of, I've already chased, I need to keep chasing down this at this point, because he's already committed to this lower moon play. And might just be thinking, I need to keep committing to it at this point, because otherwise I've already lost. And I think on some level, that's kind of true right now. He really does need this to pay off.
Because we're seeing Rex here through those random encounters here, now taking on the Heathen fights again here, is getting up to levels here where he's going to feel comfortable going into the Z fights.
Yeah, I gotta think he doesn't really need that much more. You're probably not going to get Palom up to that point, so you're kind of just trying to get her to cure 4 at this point, I would imagine. And then you got 2 good chemists anyways. If you gotta just sort of grind through the rest of it at that point, she falls over, it's probably fine. So realistically, I don't think he needs that much more to get to a Z fight capability right now.
Yeah, again, like it's a balance here of whether you want to go in. You want to go in here high enough here where you feel comfortable with the fight here, but you don't want to go in too low here where you run the risk of wiping to the fight here. And when you're nearly 2 hours into the seed and you haven't seen that dot done, the last thing you want to do is wipe to Z, because that wipe here, maybe you feel here that if you wipe here, it may cost you that race.
And unfortunately, speaking of wipes, Eykir taking another reset to that Mom Bomb fight is going to walk out at this point, say enough's enough, head over to that Crystal Sword altar, keep doing his moon play to go for that Legend Sword at this point in time. And he needs that to hit. If that doesn't hit, then it's pretty much over.
The other thing is that with Eykir, with the time he's taken here to try to get through the Mom Bomb, he hasn't been gaining any levels. So even if he does find Legend Sword quickly, he still going to need to do a bit of a grind here to get through, to get to comfortable Z levels. Porum's levels are still a bit low.
I would think the only other possible option that he might be considering is maybe I can sneak through it with just the Sid, the Yang, and the Kane. and not grind up for the children, but that seems like it would be a very slow and risky fight where you're just hoping you don't run out of potions before you run out of HP, more or less. You gotta be able to get enough damage onto Z, and I'm not sure it's there with that particular setup.
Yeah, and even if they were to go in at the same time, for example, Rex is going to have a faster Z fight. So, at that point, you're bank on your opponent to wipe her, unless you think your opponent is further behind, is behind you here. And I don't think either of these runners feel like they're ahead.
Oh no, definitely not.
Comfortably ahead at the very least.
Rex has probably felt behind the whole seed. He took those early wipes on the hook route, and like that, Eykir was way ahead getting out of that hook route. Eykir just taking those 2 wipes on Mom Bomb alone, and that wipe on Baigen probably feels like he's just waiting for that dot done as well. So both of our runners are almost certainly kind of in panic mode at this point in time, and a lot of it is like, the thing about being behind is you gotta really gamble sometimes, and I think that's what Eykir's doing, and it's just not paying off in this case.
Or even in case where it's panic gambling, where where you get to the point here where you're making gambles here, and you're overcomplicating. In essence, you end up overcomplicating what you need to do. Because all Eykir needs to do here is to find an answer here to Baigen. Like that, trying to find a legend sword is nice here. It's a risk here because you don't know where it is here. But your opponent, given how everything's laid out here, your opponent also has that same choice of whether to take on the sure thing with Cape Bahamut, which, while is an easy fight here, is you can get to a point where it's doable. And by going on a different tack here to try to approach it, trying to get a different item here, it's...
That Dragoon armor for Eykir is heartbreaking at this point, with how much time he's been committing to this at this point. And it looks like he is going to maybe just decide, alright, I need to cut my losses and go for Baigen, and that's where he's headed now.
Yeah, like the fights he was able to get through here, Mylon and friends, Dr. Luge, the Octomammoth here. Those are levels here that are, that will certainly help to make the Baigen fight more manageable here. But those are also levels here that you had other means to get with the Sirens here by taking the fights here, Behemoth fights here, Mac Giant grind, other options here which may have been a more effective use of time in that regards.
To answer a question from chat real quick of I missed the first hour or so, how bad was the early game? You would be very, very, very hard pressed to design a worse early game. It was Young, Hero, Edward, no gear for either of them, CPU at the hook route, all sorts of things that I really recommend you go back and watch because it is a fascinatingly bad early game.
And for how quote-unquote bad it was here, it's not... When you think bad seed here, it's not the type of bad here that you traditionally think of when you think nasty seed here, but the cumulative effect of everything going on here kind of makes this thing very painful. Rex here having to park the big wheel in economy parking as premium parking is taken up by the Falcon.
Absolutely, and it looks like he is ready to take on this Z fight.
Now, this might have something to do with here, but I'm starting to see a few, like I'm seeing 2 blue flags here with a Z here, and what I think is a question mark here. What's that all about?
Well, the meaning of the flag has been since time immemorial within the free enterprise community. Big questions of what is flag, why is flag, where is flag, and the answer is flag means that it is Z fight time. And Z fight time means that we're about to see one of the over 500 different custom sprites that are sitting behind this, because we can't move Zeromus around, so we might as well randomize something else for him. And that does lead to a question. Harumph, would you like to ask that question today?
Sure, I believe the question is, whose rear end are we going to upend today?
Exactly. The secondary question of whose derriere is derriere will also be answered. And of course, is it cute?
Now, if butt is cute here, does it still mean we have to kick it?
Yes, unfortunately, that is its purpose in this case. It's a great existential butt-related questions that we're having here at the end of the seed. So we'll see here in a moment as this crystal is about to be thrown.
Yeah, but I believe our race is running. When will this be over?
You know, we joke that the Z fight must mean that it's nap. The Z flags must mean that it's nap time, but for our runners, they're probably like, "Yes, please, I want it to be nap time right now." What a long, exhausting seed, and I don't recognize that right away. Maskiness.
Chat, help us, please.
Oh, Mother 3, yeah, that makes sense, yep. And also, real quick, as we're getting into the Z fight, I want to give a quick shout out, of course, to Ascorian for rolling this absolute piece of art of the seed that we've been able to enjoy for over 2 hours, and also for Taco Bowl for hopping in on tracking last minute to help us out as well. And without them, we couldn't make this at all possible. So big thanks to both of them as we're ready to start rolling on this Z fight here.
Yep, Rex looks like it's setting up Zerker strats here. Eykir is through the bike and fights here, and now we'll be working here to get ready here for his Z fights.
Definitely. The question is he going to just try and take another small grind on the way, or is he just committing to, okay, guess I'm just berserking Kane and chemisting my way through this? And it looks like he's going to take the behemoths on the way out.
Yeah, he may not get up to the levels here that Rex has, simply because you can't afford to at this point. You're trying to get through as fast as you can here, so he might try to get through on thinner margins, because he'll feel behind this point here, and he doesn't have a lot of time left. Time is running out on his side here.
Absolutely, but even now, even with Rex in this fight, he's by no means out of the woods yet, and Eykir is by no means out of this race, because with these levels, one bad Big Bang and one misstep could still knock Rex out of this fight and force a reset, which could allow Eykir to keep up. So this fight is still incredibly tense no matter what. And as long as Rex stays stable, he should be fine. I'm almost a bit concerned about how much he's berserking. He must have a lot of confidence in how much damage he's putting out here.
The melee fighters, it looks like they're putting out in about 5,000 to 6,000 a turn. Palom, I did see a night reflected Ice 3 here, which did just shy of 5,000. That's a full power Big Bang. Down goes Porum. Are they all Zerk? I believe they're all Zerk right now, or does this could be trouble on Rex's side here? That black hole will help, as he'll have a chance here to heal up the rest of the team here and recalibrate from here. Maybe try to get the Porum up here. We'll probably certainly need to try to nerf a Big Bang, because like right now here, another Big Bang, and there's the shake here. This is not looking good on his side.
Not at all. And I think the way that he could have possibly played out of that would have been trying to throw potions with that Sid, get Kane and Sid back up. Another Big Bang, he's just going to take the reset right now.
Yeah, only a Sid would have had a chance to survive that one. Young would have had a chance to survive that one here, and it wouldn't have been by much. So bailing out here entirely here, taking the Falcon to Baron here, looking to get some additional curatives stacking Kira 3s.
He might just be adjusting his plan on the fly here. He might be a bit more tempted to do Chemistrat. I'm not sure if it's worth berserking both Sid and Yang here. If you think you're going to need to heal, might as well just leave one of them, take it a little bit slower as long as you have enough cure potions, which he should at this point. I think this is going to be a lot more stable of an attempt.
Yeah, it looked like he had 3 Zerkers at the point here. So when the Unnerved Big Bang went out here, yeah, he really couldn't do anything here until that black hole came out here. And at that point here, there wasn't going to be enough time to get the party back up to a point here where they could survive another Big Bang. Eykir making his way back to Earth, so which looks like he's going to make his way to the Z fight. We'll also find that he'll need to go to economy parking, I believe.
I think he took a different approach. He had a little bit better airship management because he took the Black Chocobo. So
yes, that's correct. So premium parking for him. So this is going to turn out to be a really, really close race here. Rex going to come in for attempt number 2. Eykir right behind with attempt number 1. Eykir's levels in the high 40s. Let's see what he's got. Yang,
I think don't know what slightly better levels now than Rex does.
Yep. Yang not going in with the cursor. I'm not sure what his agility situation will be like after this. Looks like trying to get pour him a little bit additional agility here. Trying to find that setup here that's going to lead to success here. He's going to take a save here and save those changes here just in case he does need to go back in to the fight. Make it for a second attempt in case the first one doesn't go out here. Rex will need to get through this fight. This route potential here, because if he doesn't here, Eykir may be able to sneak this one out.
Absolutely. This is where it turns into that sort of back and forth mode, because even with Eykir's setup, he does not have necessarily any safer of a fight than Rex has. And it could just end up being that, if Rex wipes, then Eykir could easily wipe too. So this is a very, very tense final fight. When we say that these Zeromus fights are by no means guaranteed, this is the exact situation that we mean.
Kane Zerk's out here. Rex is about to throw the Silk Web here to nerf the first Big Bang. Eykir will be in the fight proper moment now. The counter nuke goes and hits Yang here. That's where you wanted to see that counter nuke go.
Definitely just throwing potions with Sid now. It looks like he might be leaving Sid unberserked in this case. Does have the berserk, I believe, already. Nope, not on Yang yet. Is throwing it out now, I believe, with the Quorum. So we'll have those 2 berserkers. Won't have any way of re-berserking if Palom goes down, but should be putting out enough damage to still make quite a dent into this fight anyways.
It does look like here that Rex is keeping Kane back here as a potential backup chemist here. First Big Bang goes out here. This will be nerfed. And Orm has the cure here queued up. On Eykir's side, we're seeing the Silk Web go out on that side as well to nerf that first Big Bang. Having Porum thrown that out here, so maybe won't be able to get, if he's going Zerk here, won't be able to get those up and get that set up here maybe as quickly as Rex. Looks like he does got some numbers here, and Kane's going to be jumping on his side, so.
One of the minor adjustments that I did see Rex make in between that first wipe and the second attempt is he did put a ninja hat on that forearm to gain her a little bit of extra agility in the hopes of maybe using her a bit more in this fight. I'm wondering if he's going to try and nerf the next Big Bang, or if he's just going to take it at full force at this point. That is the next big question on his side. Meanwhile, over on Eykir's side, through that first Big Bang. Sid taking that counter nuke to the face, but should be in pretty good shape here, as long as that form gets off that Cure 4.
Looks like on Rex side here that if that Big Bang comes out here, that is going to be full power. I don't think this Ice 3 was not direct, so this is not going to nerf here. So unless this tips here, we're going to see a big full powered Big Bang. That'll certainly most likely take out the twins. So most likely a life being queued up here to bring form back up.
I think that's probably a fine strategy in this case too, because I think there's always a risk when you try and nerf Big Bang, because if you miss and you get that counter nuke on top of it, that could be one more party member down. If that lands on the Sid, even if you get that nerf off, like, yeah, maybe you save your Porum, but you're still dealing with some level of recovery mode from there. So is going to keep going at this point.
Eykir also took a full Big Bang to his party here. Palom was able to stay up here, so was able to get had Palom able to get the life onto Porum here at this point here. Trying to cycle, it looks like trying to cycle through here to try to get. So we got the Cure 4 going up on his side. Levels on Sid maybe not great here for another full force, but Big Bang here, so maybe need to get a few more, a little bit more HP up here just to be on the safe side. Looks like HP levels are a lot more comfortable on Rex's side now.
Yeah, Rex getting these Berserks back up on his party here, going to just use those to deal a bit more damage. He's going to start jumping with Kane at this point. I think he's in a pretty stable loop at this point in time, and really it's just as long as he doesn't make a mistake, he should be fine. I feel like Eykir's in kind of the same spot, although Eykir doing a lot more to try and nerf those Big Bangs there, getting that counter nuke on Yom.
Yeah, to try to fire the virus for the counter nuke here. We'll see if it did nerf. But at least 3 of his characters will stay up even in that case, and it did successfully nerf, so he's going to be a lot more comfortable staying in terms of getting this party more stabilized here. We're seeing on Rex's side here another full power Big Bang here. That's going to be a lot dicier, potentially a lot dicier of a situation, because we're seeing critically low levels of HP on his side.
And it's interesting to compare the two different philosophies in these fights right now. Eykir going for these nerfs, which are a bit more difficult and also a bit less difficult than it seems at the same time somehow, because that's just the nature of that kind of skill. Rex, on the other hand, is trying to count on this stable loop of res Porum, heal with Porum, throw out some spare Cure 3s with Sid, and try and get through that way. And as long as that situation is sorted out enough, which he should get this next Cure 4 off too, that should still work out for him at this point.
It's like, this is very close right now here. It's tough to gauge who's ahead, if anyone really is ahead. So this could come right down to the wire here, because it looks like both teams may be stable enough here to be able to get through the fight eventually, but we'll see. Both parties in similar positions right now. The three melee fighters down after the Big Bang. Now working to get Porum back up here to be able to bring the rest of the team up to more comfortable levels here. And this is going to be like a lather, rinse, repeat situation here. We're probably going to see this until the end of the fight. Eykir has tipped into nuke phase for sure here, because we are seeing that seeing that script come out on his side here. Not sure if we've seen the straight nuke attack on Rex's side yet.
Definitely, and that's gotta be worrying, at least from our position, if you're in Rex's shoes here. Well, I guess there's the first nuke there, so they might actually just be completely neck and neck here.
Yeah, but that nuclear hit Quorum in the face, which may not necessarily be the worst thing in the world here, because she, like, at her levels here, she wouldn't like to survive any full force Big Bang here. So you might as well get your attacks in now, and then once the Big Bang comes up here, bring her back up. But no, he's actually going to bring Quorum back up now.
Next Big Bang coming out over on Eykir's side, so we're about to see another res onto this Quorum. They're now both basically in the exact same loop of revive Quorum, get her to heal, let her fall to the next Big Bang, and just hope you're doing enough damage in the meantime before you run out of resources. Big concerns on both sides have to be the amount of MP they're consuming onto that Quorum, but I think both of them have some elixirs left over at this point in time. I'm pretty sure that Eykir does. Eykir being forced to Ether won that Quorum. If either of them run out of MP completely, this could just completely destroy their fight from there on out.
Yep. And I think a shout out goes here to both these racers here in terms of tackling this heck of a seed. This has been an extremely close race here, and it's each racer has had an advantage at some point during this matchup here. And so to see everything converge together here to a super close Z fight here. I don't think we can ask really for anything more, much more here in terms of a great show here for everyone today.
Yeah, and I guess another fringe benefit is if you're excited to see these races today, the gap between this race and the one after is not going to be very big, as we are seeing
Rocks
over on Eykir's side.
But it's just Sid. Sid's the only one left. Oh no. Oh no. 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 Oh no.
No dodge. Deeply, deeply unfortunate over on Eykir's side. He's going to have to take another attempt at this now.
That has got to be absolutely heartbreaking.
Absolutely, but he's at it again, going to grab a few more Ether ones, sort of change his strategy from there, get right back on it, and I think that is, to me, the real thing that always impresses me about our community here is that we have these rough situations where you just get wombo comboed, you just have the bad time there, and he's just right back on it, back in this, back trying to compete through this, and really back for attempt number 2.
That being said here, Rex is just saw a shake here, so is this rocks or is this a Big Bang coming?
I gotta think it's a Big Bang, because I don't want to make it seem like this is in any way a negative about Rex's play in this fight, because it's not, but he's just not outputting very much damage comparatively with his party, and because of that, he's really sort of falling behind in this. I gotta think that, yeah, here's the next Big Bang for him. I've lost count of the number of Big Bangs just because that's just how this seed is. You just don't have the power anywhere.
Now that was a relatively low roll on Kane's side here, and the time of Q3. Palom actually survived that Big Bang, which is critical here, because if Meteo's coming up soon here, he's going to be in much more comfortable position here to get through for that final push.
Absolutely. I did not think it would be necessarily possible for him to survive a Big Bang here, but
I think Rox.
I guess it is.
Here's Rox. Yeah, Rex is in 825 here, but in much better shape here. Has a white mage here. And more importantly, has three fighters here looking to smash face.
I think he should be fine at this point in time. There it is.
That's the crack boom. At 2 hours, 25 minutes, and 27 seconds, we finally have a winner. rexxraul.
Yep. Moving on to the round of 32 with that win today. And we'll see if we can get him in for an interview here in just a moment. But GG's to Rex. And speaking of which, Rex, GG's on that very long grind of a seed.
That's one way of putting it, for sure.
So, real quick, and this is a big important question that was sort of a big contentious thing in chat that I want to ask is, were you tempted to check that tower key when you got it?
Not particularly. I don't know why it just never came up in my thought process. So.
Alright, so given the characters that you saw along the way here, which were along here and the gear here you had here, you know, what were your, what were you thinking here in terms of your thoughts, in terms of, how you wanted to construct your party here, given the limited options you have, and how you wanted to approach here the mid to end game in terms of, getting levels, and how you wanted to approach the Z fight.
Well, it was like every character check that I had, I'm like, please be either Edge or Tella, please be either Edge or Tella, because I wasn't prepared to do a grind with this team. As you probably saw on the stream, I did a couple random battles of the first floor of Cave Bahamut, and they were not very good. So then I went into the Behemoths, which got me just barely there to get, because I wanted to make sure that I had Cure Forum before going into the Z fight. That was my one thing with the grind. After that, I figured even if I had to do what I ended up doing, which was go to Battle Speed 6 and just do a very, very conservative Z fight, but I knew that I could get it because I've done a fight with similar parties.
Now, on that sort of subject of party composition, you didn't really have many choices in your party composition, but the one you did have, what led you to not take the Rydia at that point in time off the top of tower?
I didn't want, with no access to either the Tella for the D Machine grind or Edge for stealing Sirens, I wasn't going to level up these characters to the point where they'd have Nuke and White, and so I wasn't going to do a reflex strategy for the Xeranos fight. So I just wanted to keep my beefy boys up in front, and I didn't want to get rid of any of them. And Palom was probably, at that point, was so much higher level than Rydia would have been at that point, that he was going to do all the black magic that I did. I will say, though, this was, in my opinion, the hardest seed of this flag set that I've completed. This was a very tough seed.
Yeah, it's hard to think of how a seed here could be more rude than it was here.
And just yesterday, slight spoiler warning, but we had to fight Keinatsu at the element spot, and I think this seed was harder.
Now, out of curiosity here, was there any point in the seed here where you felt here like you were ahead or behind significantly? Or did you feel fair, or were you kind of locked in terms of focus?
I didn't think that anything that I did was particularly bad or good, other than maybe my grind near the end. But I thought that going to Keyless Tower, depending on what Eykir, like if Eykir went to the moon instead of doing Keyless Tower, then that might have been the difference. I don't know. That was the only thing that I thought might have given me an edge. Otherwise, I thought we're probably very close, and it turned out we were very close. So.
Absolutely. And so with this win, this is your second win out of this best of 3, so you are heading on to that round of 32. What are your thoughts on that and how this tournament has gone for you so far, and also where you want to go from here?
I'd like to keep on winning if I can, but I know that the competition is just going to get stiffer and stiffer the longer this event goes on. So I'm really happy. I was really happy to qualify for the round of 64. So getting qualified to the round of 32 is real nice. It's it feels like a feather in my cap for me, because I've never been like a top racer. But making it this far makes me feel very good with what I'm doing in Free Enterprise right now.
If I'm not mistaken, this is your first top 32? Miss Whoopi, if I'm correct, if my research was correct. Sorry.
Yeah, that sounds right. I made it to, I've made it past the first cut in Zemus Zone 2 and Zemus Zone 3, but this is the time that I made it past the second cut.
All right, and I guess what are your plans after that? After a lengthy, hard-fought fight here, what are your plans here to decompress afterwards?
Well, I'm gonna make dinner, and then I'm probably gonna. What I like doing when I have a race that's restreamed is go back and watch it as quickly as possible while it's still in my head. So I'm gonna watch the VOD of this right away and really compare my strategies to Eykir's and see the things that that might have gone my way, and also see if I can learn other things that might have gone a little bit better if I adapt a bit as well.
I certainly don't want to keep your hold on for later here. Did you have any final thoughts in regards to the seed today?
I just want to say hats off to Eykir. Both of our races were really close and could have gone either way. It easily could have been him who's advancing right now instead of me. So I'm just really happy. And thanks to everybody on the Restream team for bringing this race to everybody. I hope people enjoyed it. I can't imagine they wouldn't with how close they were. So.
Absolutely. And again, GG's. Looking forward to seeing you next week in that round of 32. And thank you very much for both joining us for the race and for joining us for this interview.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Have a good night, everybody.
Take care. Good luck the rest of the way.
And with that, we have seen Eykir finishing his successful attempt with a time of 2:32:31. 2.5 hour long seed, still only separated by 7 minutes, and just an unfortunate set of rocks there. So we'll be getting him in for an interview very shortly. Speaking of which, GG's and welcome to Eykir.
Thanks. That was a heck of a seed. That last night too.
Yeah, absolutely. So walk us through towards the end there where you made that play after you had that Beigen wipe and you decided you were going to go check the bottom of the moon. What was your thought process going into that particular decision there?
I was a few things. I was hoping to find a 10th key item so I could level quicker. I get the crystal from this one, so I had to try Beigen first, but he just hit too hard. He killed 3 of my people before I got a turn. So that was going to be a rough fight. So I needed some levels. I think I took that first behemoth fight, but it took so long that I'm like, I can't do this 3 times just to get levels. So I went down because I knew there were a better chance at a 10th key item down there, hopefully get some levels. The first one didn't pan out, but I killed enough bosses down there to get enough hit points that I could survive that fight. And I think I did LSP4. I was also looking for Legend Sword, because if I did Legend Sword, I didn't have to do that fight. Could have been very nice. I still don't know where it was.
Yeah, I don't think we saw the spoiler on, or at least I didn't keep track of the spoiler on Rex's side here. So hopefully we'll be able to see here where that Legend Sword was here, because on both sides after Baron Key, we did see, when we saw the tower key, neither you nor Rex here went to pursue that tower key to see if there was a 10th key item here. We were wondering here what that would, seeing if what would have been that 10th key item. Would it have been that Legend Sword?
I think we saw it was the Twin Harp, but I don't know what's that Twin Harp. I caught that on the on Rex's right before he reset to go to get music. But yeah, I think I also found the rat tail on the moon. I didn't check that. I think I forgot we got the tower key in Baron. I knew it was a 9th key item. I'm like, yes, 9. I just need to get 10th. I knew it was a gamble going into Moon Underground, but no one had finished yet, so I knew this was a rough one.
Now, on our side here, we were seeing, kind of like comfortable, lead swings here, where it looks like you were ahead at one point here, and then there's a point here, when Rex was ahead here, and then switch here. In terms of throughout the race here, did you feel here like you were ahead, behind here, and how that may have affected your decision making here in terms of how you approached here the latter part of the seed?
I did feel behind quite a bit at the beginning. It took half an hour to go discover that the Mist Dragon at Mega Sisters had the way underground, and then when I saw it was the hook, it's like, oh great, now we go do that. Like I made some mistakes. I misremembered where the Eykir 2s were, so I stopped somewhere to go get them, and they weren't there. So not having the Eykirs hurt there, so that made me feel behind, especially after I wiped that one trap chest heading down. So yeah, after that point and making it through CPU the first time, I think it was an hour to get underground, I felt behind. So I did like everything I could on the ground first before seeing if I could go to the moon. And I did remember this time that Baron had a sparkle. I wrote it down on my sheet, on my snapshot of what the objectives were. So again, that Baron key meant go mode, hopefully.
You didn't really have any options in terms of who to take in your party in that seed just because of the dupes and like that. But my question is, why did you not take the Rydia at that point in time?
I saw the Rydia. I peeked the Rydia before. That's why I went through the door after I killed the Demas, so I could see what was up there. And I saw the Rydia, and by the time we got the Earth Crystal to go there, I'm like, do I want to level her? Who do I replace her with? Replace with her, I think it was Edward. But then if I have her, unless I find a Sura, I don't have a healer. So likely she would get replaced by the next healer I find anyways. And just happened we found Cora not too long afterward. I think it was the
Sand Ruby.
Sand Ruby. I just couldn't think of the word for it. After Sheila won. So had I done that first, I probably would have had her before doing Earth. Maybe I did have her before doing Earth. I don't remember. Spent 2 hours.
Yeah, all kinds of. It all comes a mush at some point, right?
Yeah, I didn't think I could like slingshot her enough to get her up there. And if I found Latella, I could grind. If I didn't find one of those, I was a little bit leery about doing the Ogre or the Mac Giant grind because that didn't work out too well for me last time. I figured I could just get enough XP on the moon. So the Rydia, just like didn't think I could slingshot her enough to do it. And I didn't even get Palom at the end to nuke. And Palom gets it before Rydia.
Definitely. Now, unfortunately, this is your second loss in this best of 3, so it does mean that you will not be going on to the round of 32, but you got here to the round of 36, and probably the absolute most competitive field we've had yet for a tournament. What are your thoughts on how you've done in this tournament and how you felt about it so far?
I was glad to make top 64, and that was my goal, was to be able to get there. Getting matched up against Rex. I know Rex is a great opponent. You're pretty evenly matched, and either of our races could have gone either way, depending on like one choice. And not wiping 2 Big Bang Meteor at the end there. I would have had a game 3. These have been 2 of the toughest seeds I have played in this flag set, today and yesterday. So, Historian, kudos to you on rolling some great seeds. But yeah, the tournament's full of very competitive people. I don't think even if I won this round, I would be able to beat next round. Next round has some good opponents as well. So I wish Rex best of luck next round.
All right. And with that, did you have any final thoughts on the seed and the race for today?
I just want to thank everybody on the Restream team for doing a good job, and then Harum on comms, Taco Bowl on tracking, and Historian rolling the seeds. So thank you everybody for that. Appreciate all the work you do. And I'm going to go recuperate now.
And great to see you once again here. Thank you for
Thanks.
putting on a heck of a show, and I look forward to calling another tournament race with you racing again in the near future.
Have a good night.
Have a great night. Right, and with that here, that brings our round to an end here, but this is certainly not the end of free enterprise action tonight. We are going to bring you over to, I believe, Randomania for our 8 o'clock race, which will be starting shortly here. Trying to remember who was in
It
that
is
one.
Direwolf versus Scythe Marshal Game 1, which is a very exciting matchup that I'm definitely looking forward to seeing.
And Free Enterprise will be back live again here at 9 p.m. Eastern here for our ghost match. Possum Morpheus versus Zoe Vermilion for game 1. That's also going to be a heck of a matchup.
And so, with that, I believe that is going to be it for us today. Another big thank you to both of our runners, as well as our sort of background restream team folks, Escorian for rolling a seed that will go down in history for better or worse, and Taco Bowl for stepping in for tracking. And with that, we will catch you around next time and hope you enjoy the next race. Remember, no spoilers for this one, because this is definitely one that people will want to watch back.
We will definitely give out the bonk if you spoil this one. All right, until then, we'll see you soon. Have a great night. For now, have a great night.